This story begins with the destruction of the world. Much like many other manhwas, the entire city was engulfed in flames. Armies and aliens were battling in the sky, while on the ground, massive monsters attacked the public, devouring them like chickens. Suddenly, a beast so colossal appeared that it blocked out the sun, plunging the sky into darkness. Yet it felt like a kindred spirit. Our protagonist walked toward the massive creature, and as he gazed into its eyes, he felt as if they were the same being. The beast was him, and he was the beast. The enormous creature turned to face the monsters and unleashed an energy beam from its mouth resembled Godzilla's. For all the humans fleeing from the aliens and monsters, it was a sign of hope. Something so powerful was on their side. Our protagonist looked down at the world, knowing it would honor him as if he were a god. Now, he is humanity's hope. The one who can control that massive beast. It all began a few months ago. Reports on the news stated that on June 2, 2224, the zoo in Ning City was attacked by a snake over 100 meters long. Experts were unable to identify the species of the snake. Several citizens managed to film. The appearance of a giant whale-like beast in the sky north of the city caused quite a stir. Recently, internationally wanted criminals had been spotted on the loose in Ning City. The news was being broadcast live on television in a room where our protagonist lay on a table covered in his own blood. Yet, he could see himself lying there unconscious. He was deeply confused because the body in front of his eyes was his own. He couldn't understand what was happening. Turning around, he caught a glimpse of himself in a mirror and was shocked to see that he had transformed into a sea iguana. Our protagonist's name is Chen Chua. Sophomore at the University of Nim, Chen Chu had been renting a place off campus because he didn't like living in the dorms. He loved cold-blooded animals and was fascinated by their vibrant colors. The pet store where he often bought animals had just received a new batch of exotic pets, and Chen was immediately drawn to a sea iguana, an amphibious creature. Sea iguanas are generally gentle, but an accident occurred the moment this one was set free. It broke out of its cage and attacked Chen, biting his hand with its sharp teeth. Chen was in immense pain and immediately pulled out his phone from his pocket, striking the sea iguana on the head. When the sea iguana was hit, it lost its grip and freed Chen's hand. However, before falling, the iguana's tail struck Chen's phone, which then hit Chen on the head. As a result, both of them lost consciousness. After seeing himself as the sea iguana in his dreams, Chen woke up to find the creature right in front of his face. But something had changed in both of them. When Chen raised his hand, the sea iguana raised its hand too. Chen was surprised to discover that he could now control the lizard's body as if it were an extension of his own. It felt just like moving his arms. Smiling at the sea iguana, he wondered if this was his so-called golden finger. Perhaps it was finally time for his hero's journey to begin. But there was a problem. Chen didn't know what his iguana buddy was capable of. He wondered if he should live stream to show off how smart his lizard was, or sell freshly dug up abalone or sea cucumbers. Thinking about all this, Chen felt disappointed. He guessed he wasn't meant to be a main character after all. When other people get cheats, they either become a powerful villain ordained by fate or a tree that grows into the god of the universe. He was stuck with a little lizard. While thinking about all this, both his and the iguana's stomachs growled at the same time. Chen realized he was very hungry as he hadn't noticed he'd been passed out for the entire day. Looking at the iguana, he wondered what sea iguanas ate. His sea iguana seemed very curious and started climbing onto Chen's hand. Seeing this, Chen thought, since it's a lizard, it should be fine with meat. He took a packed steak out of his refrigerator and, using his amazing cooking skills, prepared a delicious medium-rare steak. When the sea iguana saw Chen's cooked steak, its eyes lit up immediately and it began eating the steak happily. Watching it eat like that, Chen smiled and said, "I knew it, sea iguanas and lizards can both eat meat." Just as the sea iguana was devouring the steak, a system notification suddenly popped up in front of Chen's eyes, saying, "After eating, your clone received 5 evolution points, and your constitution has increased by 0.5. Chen was shocked. What is this? Before he could make sense of anything, the entire system's status window suddenly popped up. It was Chen's status window. It showed the following. Level 0, Constitution 8.5, Spirit 12, Talent Mind Control Traits. External Aura, Beginner, 0/1000 XP, and Q Perception, Beginner, 0/1000 XP. Skills Extremities, Boxing, Beginner, 48 points. Stepping cloud jump, beginner, 66 points. Springing leg, beginner, 39 points. Clone C, iguana. Evolution not started, 5 points. 200 points needed for the first evolution. Chen stared at the window in disbelief, still trying to process what was happening. Chen was too shocked to see the status window. He wondered if this was his actual cheat. In the status window, what caught Chen's eyes the most were his skills. Looking at them, Chen recalled his past. During his childhood, his father used to teach him martial arts. He would always tell Chen that simply practicing the forms without understanding the foundation would amount to nothing. The root of your strength lies in your feet, his father would say. It should start from your thighs, flow through your abdomen, and be controlled with precision. These lessons would last 10 to 12 hours a day, leaving Chen's small body utterly exhausted. But whenever Chen asked his father if he could take a break, his father would immediately refuse, saying, "It is cowardly to give up halfway." From the very beginning, Chen didn't want to be a coward, so he started practicing again, running as fast as he could. Even when he tripped and fell to the ground or got injured, his father never helped him. Instead, his father would simply say, "No one else will help you when you grow up." Then, one day when Chen was 10 years old, his father handed him a box and said, "This is all of our savings." He told Chen that he needed to take a very long trip and that Chen would have to walk the rest of the journey on his own. Very sad that day. For the first time, Chen's father patted his head and told him to remember that he could never neglect practicing martial arts. He said that when Chen was strong enough, he would be able to see the other side of the world. Chen was deeply saddened and asked his dad, "How am I supposed to find you again?" His father told him that when he became a grandmaster, but then he stopped before finishing. He looked at Chen and added, "I may not be here anymore by then." And just like that, Chen's father left the house and closed the main door. Since then, his father had not returned. Chen became very emotional as he remembered his past. He looked at a picture of his father and mother, feeling very sad, as a decade had passed before he even realized it. While Chen was lost in his thoughts, the sea iguana completely cleared his plate. Chen was amazed at how quickly the little guy ate. After the iguana finished, its body began to shine in red. Chen looked closely at the iguana, confused, wondering if this was really happening or if it was just him. Or did the sea iguana just grow longer? Chen immediately looked at his status window and saw that the sea iguana's evolution points had increased to 15. Chen was a little surprised to see that the sea iguana now had 15 points after just one meal. While he was trying to understand how his system worked, something suddenly caught his eye. Chen saw himself in the mirror placed in his room. His body looked very different from before. He immediately checked his body and was shocked to see his 8-pack abs. Chen's body hadn't been this built before. He realized that the points the iguana received could even affect him. Chen looked at his iguana, wondering if, since it had evolved for the first time, it could continue evolving with more points. Perhaps it could even grow into the Behemoth from his dreams. Chen felt very happy, thinking that with the help of this system, he could become a real martial arts grandmaster. The next day at the marketplace, Chen bought 10 pounds of prime beef, no bones, 20 pounds of lean pork, also no bones, and asked the shopkeeper to pack everything. He then used his phone to pay with the QR code. He placed everything in the back of his car, thinking this should be enough to last for a few days. Then he drove off from the marketplace and, without wasting any time, headed straight back to his apartment, ready to use his master chef skills. He made all kinds of dishes for the sea iguana to eat, believing that doing so would bring him closer to becoming a martial arts master. Upon seeing the dishes, the sea iguana's mouth watered. In just a few seconds, the sea iguana finished all the plates. Chen connected his mind with the sea iguana and found that, in the iguana's palate, pork didn't taste as good as beef. He then disconnected the control and woke up. After just a few minutes of connection, he felt tired. While stretching, he said, "The beef could use a bit more cumin. I'll make sure to add more next time." After the meal, the sea iguana took a nap while wearing sunglasses. On the other hand, Chen went to the martial arts room to train. With all his strength, he punched a punching bag. His punch was so strong that it completely changed the punching bag's shape. A system notification popped up, telling Chen that after his hard work in training, his extremities boxing experience had increased by 5 points. Chen was happy because not only had his constitution improved, but his training progress was also faster than before. 2 days passed like that, and Chen was still training. He had destroyed 2 punching bags in those 2 days, and the current one he was using didn't look too great. After training for so long, he was a little exhausted. He said, "This feeling of getting stronger just by working hard at training is amazing." Before finishing this session, he jumped and kicked the punching bag with all his power. His kick was so strong that the chains holding the punching bag broke, and the punching bag went flying. After just 3 days of training, Chen's attributes increased significantly. His extremities boxing skill upgraded to the intermediate level, and his stepping, cloud jump, and springing leg skills also grew more powerful. Not only that, the sea iguana's evolution points increased to 195, now needing just 5 more points to evolve for the first time. Looking at his status window, Chen said, "From the perspective of traditional martial arts, I should have reached the peak of the Ming realm by now." Chen remembered his father telling him that the realms of martial arts are divided into Ming, Dark, and Transformation. The peak of the Ming realm makes one a top-notch fighter, capable of taking on 10 opponents alone, while the Dark realm makes one a first-rate expert, able to fight 100 at once, but they are usually hidden within legendary families. The Transformation realm allows one to take on 1,000. They're the grandmasters recorded in history, rare in modern times. The Transformation realm represents an unbreakable body, only described in ancient texts. At that time, Chen was very amazed and asked his father which realm he was in. Chen's father told him that he had once briefly reached the Dark realm, but his expression darkened as he remembered what happened afterward. Little Chen didn't understand his father's emotions. He was very amazed that his father had reached the Dark realm and asked him if he was from one of those legendary families. Chen's father was shocked by little Chen's question. He took a deep breath and told Chen that he was just from Luotuan. In the present, it was already afternoon. When Chen came out of the martial arts room, he found his sea iguana lying on the sofa. He was surprised to see how much the sea iguana had grown in just 3 days. The sea iguana only needed 5 points to evolve. Looking at it, Chen said, "One more meal and you'll be ready to evolve. Let's hope it won't be disappointing." He made many dishes again and gave them to the sea iguana. As the sea iguana started eating, its evolution points began to increase. The evolution points reached 199, and it was almost ready to evolve. Chen connected with it again. Chen couldn't wait to see how this little guy would change, so he connected with the sea iguana. When the evolution points reached 200, a system notification appeared, telling Chen that his clone, the sea iguana, had met the evolution requirements, and the evolution would now begin. Just as the notification appeared, a lightning bolt ran through the sea iguana's left hand. The pain was so intense that Chen, who was connected to the sea iguana, also felt it in his own left hand. Both Chen and the sea iguana fell to the ground because of the pain. Spikes grew on the sea iguana's back, and its body began to grow. Scales appeared all over its body. The sea iguana was in so much pain from the transformation that it ran wild in the room, destroying everything in its path. After a few minutes, the pain of the evolution slowed down. Chen, still lying on the ground, was very shocked. He didn't think evolution would hurt this much. Suddenly, he heard some noises from his side and looked over. It was the sea iguana, which had now grown to the size of a crocodile. Chen was impressed by its size and decided to see how strong his sea iguana had become after evolving. At Chen's command, the sea iguana turned with lightning speed and hit the punching bag with its tail. The punching bag exploded from the force of the sea iguana's tail attack. Chen was impressed. His constitution doubled and his spirit increased by 2. His external aura and key perception traits also became more powerful. After completing the first evolution, the sea iguana needed 1,000 evolution points to evolve again. Chen was surprised when he looked at his status window, as he didn't expect this. When the clone evolves, he hadn't anticipated that his main body's physique and attributes would directly double in growth. Looking at his status window, Chen was a little confused. He didn't know if his attributes increased because his current strength was too weak, or if every time the clone evolves, his body's constitution would double. Chen smiled, thinking, if it's the former, then my strength will improve at a decent pace early on. But if it's the latter, that would be kind of terrifying. Currently, judging by traditional martial arts standards, Chen realized that he had just entered the dark realm. He activated his traits, which allowed him to unleash external energy. Seeing red energy coming out of his body, Chen got very happy because now he was officially a martial arts expert. However, after looking at the energy, Chen understood that with training, 100 skill experience points a day was the limit. He thought that, since the improvements were mirrored, to further enhance his body he would have to rely on the sea iguana. He connected himself again with the sea iguana, and when he released his energy, the sea iguana also released the same energy. Chen was shocked to find that even the iguana could release external energy. Suddenly, the sea iguana became alert and looked in the direction of the main door. It felt like someone's presence, and that person started knocking on Chen's apartment door. Chen was also a little surprised by the sudden guest. The one knocking on the door was a muscular guy who looked very angry. Chen opened the door slowly and asked the muscular guy what happened. Chen stepped outside while his energy was still active, and because of that, his presence felt like that of a monster in human form. The muscular guy was shaking in fear after seeing Chen, thinking, "What's with this kid? He's giving me the vibe that he could crush me in seconds." The muscular guy tried to act as sweet as he could to avoid angering Chen and told him that lately it had been kind of noisy upstairs, so he came to check if his place was under renovation. Chen acted clueless and immediately apologized to the man, explaining that there were no renovations here, he had just been training lately and didn't realize it was that loud. The muscular guy became more scared upon hearing that it was just training, wondering whose training feels like an earthquake. He tried to take a sneak peek into Chen's apartment and saw that everything inside was destroyed. It felt like an earthquake had happened inside. The muscular guy was too scared to see all that and realized that if he said anything to Chen, it wouldn't go well. He immediately turned around and said, "It's fine, no big deal." While leaving, he asked Chen if he could change his training methods a bit, maybe something quieter. Chen apologized again and told the man that it was no problem and that he would adjust his training methods from now on. The scared, muscular guy thanked Chen and immediately went into the elevator to escape. After he left, Chen's sea iguana came out, having been hiding on Chen's command. After checking that everything was okay and that the muscular guy hadn't found out, the iguana relaxed. About the sea iguana, Chen closed the door. Looking at the size of his sea iguana clone, he realized that it was too large and no longer suitable to keep indoors. He decided that it was about time to release the sea iguana clone into the sea. He took the sea iguana in his car and drove off to the nearest beach. When he arrived at the beach and checked that no one was around, he opened the door of his car and let the sea iguana come out. Even though it was a sea iguana, it was its first time seeing the sea in real life. After that, Chen connected his mind with the sea iguana, controlled its body, and guided it into the sea. Once the sea iguana was underwater, Chen activated his energy sense. With the energy sensing activated, Chen could see many sea creatures all around him, thanks to the current energy sense. He can cover a radius of 10 meters around him. While he was exploring the sea and its animals, he saw a 5-eyed fish swimming. Chen was shocked to see that a fish actually had 5 eyes. He decided to make it today's first target. Slowly, he started following the 5-eyed fish, getting very close. He immediately jumped to attack. The fish was too shocked to see the sea iguana and quickly swam into a hole in the ground. After killing that fish, the sea iguana ate it. A system notification appeared, telling Chen that after eating the mutated fish, his clone gained 10 evolution points. Chen's physique also increased by 1. Chen was surprised to see 10 evolution points because after evolving, eating normal food only provides 1 evolution point per meal. But mutated fish can actually give 10 points. Chen thought that with these kinds of mutated creatures appearing in the ocean and the recent news, it seemed like the world was far from peaceful. While roaming around, Chen noticed a mutated fish with 10 eyes and hunted it down. He killed the fish with its sharp teeth and devoured it, gaining more evolution points. After a few hours, Chen received a system notice that his clone had already reached the daily cap of 100 evolution points and could not gain more today. Chen was amazed to see that while exploring, to human eyes, the ocean at night is cold and pitch black. But through the sea iguana clone's eyes, he saw that the underwater world is colorful and vibrant. As an amphibian, the sea iguana can stay underwater for a long time. But since it doesn't have gills, it still relies on lungs to breathe, so it needs to surface for air every now and then. While exploring, he saw a huge crack on the surface of the sea. He entered the crack and found a cave inside, filled with air. Chen thought this spot looked pretty good and decided to have the sea iguana clone rest there. After disconnecting the mental control of the sea iguana, Chen said, "Since the clone is settled, it's about time for me to head back." While heading home, he saw a house in the middle of the forest. Chen was shocked to see the house. He could not believe that someone was actually living in this place. But before he could pass the house, he heard someone's voice asking for help. Chen understood that something was wrong. His super hearing activated at the right time. However, to avoid alerting the bad guys, he didn't stop his car and continued driving. His decision was correct because two thugs, one bald and one with blue hair, were looking at his car from inside the house. They checked carefully to see if Chen's car had left. Those thugs had kidnapped a girl whose screams for help Chen had heard. The two thugs were checking the car outside, and one black-hailed thug was stopping the girl from screaming. The bald thug kicked the black-hailed guy, shouting, "How are you this careless? Didn't I tell you to watch her? You didn't even notice the cloth fell out of her mouth." The black-hamed thug explained to his boss that it was so dark outside, how could he have seen it when they dragged her in? The bald thug understood that it wasn't his fault. He took a cloth and covered the girl's mouth, telling her to shut up and behave, or he would let the guys have their fun tonight. The girl was very scared and helpless. Little did she know, her savior had already arrived. Chen came on foot so that the thugs wouldn't get alerted. He immediately activated his energy sense. With that, he could easily see what was happening inside the house and how many people were there. It worked like X-ray vision. He saw that inside there were two thugs having a drink, a girl who was tied up with ropes, and another thug standing beside the main door eating something, and he was busy on his phone. Seeing the scene from inside, Chen realized that it was either kidnapping or human trafficking. There were 3 men and 2 of them had knives. Chen decided that it was best to deal with them within a minute. He gathered all his energy in his hand and then smashed the main door of the house. When he smashed the door, the thugs were surprised and immediately took out their knives. Chen didn't give them any chance to attack. He immediately kicked the black-haired thug in the stomach. That thug went flying and hit a wall behind him with a solid impact. "You piece of shit!" the bald thug shouted, jumping to attack Chen from behind. But Chen turned around with lightning speed and hit the thug on the chest with his elbow. Chen's attack broke the thug's ribs, sending him flying, but then the third blue-haired thug appeared and caught the bald thug from falling. He told the bald thug to take a breath, then he stepped forward, took a martial arts pose, and announced his move. "As Yue Wang Fist," he said. His name was Ning Fu, and he asked Chen for his move. Chen also took the pose of the martial arts technique his father taught him, announcing it as Luo Tuan 8 Extremities Boxing. Their fight began. Ning Fu used his Yue Wang Fist technique, Move 1, Lu Fist, and attacked Chen with his fist. But Chen easily blocked the attack and then pulled himself toward Ning Fu. Just as Ning Fu was within range, Chen tried to kick him in the face. Ning Fu also blocked Chen's attack with his leg, then used Yue Wang Fist's Move 2, Two Horses Join Tang, and punched Chen in the face with full power. His punch landed perfectly, making Chen realize that Ning Fu is an expert. Chen was falling, but managed to balance his footing and stop himself. Now, Ning Fu was within his range. Ning Fu was surprised to see Chen still standing. Before he could react, Chen turned around with lightning speed. Chen used his 8 Extremities Boxing's Iron Mountain Slam technique and slammed Ning Fu with his shoulder. Chen's attack was so powerful that Ning Fu went flying and hit the ground with a solid impact. Ning Fu was on the ground but smiled, thinking, "This is getting interesting." He stood up and told Chen that he didn't expect this. After coming down the mountain, he never thought he would meet a real disciple of Luo Tuan in Extremities. Ning Fu admitted that the Iron Mountain Slam, an ultimate move of 8 extremities, truly deserved its reputation. But Chen told him, "It's a shame though." Confused, Ning Fu asked him what he meant by a shame. Chen walked toward Ning Fu and told him that he didn't expect to see a thug being halfway decent with Yue Wang Fist. What a shame that the disciple of Yue Wang Fist has gone down a crooked path. Hearing that, Ning Fu started smiling. While standing, he said, "What are you so high and mighty for? You're just a student who doesn't know any better. I only understood after I left the mountain." He suddenly jumped to attack Chen, shouting, "In this world, if you want to get ahead, you have to do whatever it takes." Ning Fu left his martial arts stance and used his fingers to attack Chen's eyes. Chen was surprised, but he reacted in time and kicked Ning Fu in the face, sending him flying. Ning Fu went flying and fell flat on his face. After the battle, Chen's adrenaline went down and he collapsed on the ground. Chen admitted that the battle between martial artists was truly dangerous. The pressure he felt from Ningfu was far greater than dozens of strong musclemen. Looking at his fist, Chen thought, too bad that my control over my strength is still inadequate. Things don't bode well for these three people. They've all sustained serious injuries. Chen decided to practice mastering control over his strength somehow. After seeing all the kidnappers defeated, the girl started making sounds to call Chen. Chen went and freed her from the ropes. The girl was so scared that she immediately hugged Chen. Chen comforted her, saying, "It's all over now, don't be scared." The girl, while crying, thanked Chen for his help. After the girl calmed down a little, Chen gave her a phone and told her that she could call the police after he left. Chen told her that if the police asked about him, she could tell them she didn't get a good look at him and didn't know who he was. The girl he saved was very pretty. She nodded and told Chen that she wouldn't tell the police. Then, 10 minutes later, the police arrived at the scene. They surrounded the whole place. Officers entered, telling the thugs not to move and to put their hands in the air. But the officers were shocked when they saw inside. All the thugs were already lying on the ground, and only the girl was standing there. The scene then shifted to police headquarters, where security agency police officer Guan Qing came to her deputy chief's office with the information he had asked for. She told the deputy chief that they were able to see clearly. There were footprints on the broken door. Based on the depth and the way the door's axle broke off, someone kicked the door open from the front. The door flew about 3 meters away, so the force used was at least 1,000 kilograms. She took out all the photos from the scene and told the deputy chief that among the kidnappers, 2 of them died instantly, and the one left has entered a vegetative state after suffering a major concussion. According to the kidnapped girl Lin Rongya, the person who helped her was wearing a mask at night, and she couldn't tell what they looked like. The deputy chief of the security agency looked at those photos and became confused, asking, "How can this be?" The most force the king of boxing was able to exert was 800 kilograms on a machine in boxing. In real life, it's unheard of for this amount of force to be reached, Officer Guan Qing agreed, saying it's true that this guy's strength is inhuman, although stranger things have been happening lately. While they were talking, thunder suddenly struck above the city. Looking out of his window, the deputy chief said, "A storm is coming." He wasn't referring to the weather, but to the evil forces that could disturb the city's public peace. Meanwhile, after saving the girl, Chen drove to a lakeside in his car. There was a boat in the lake, but Shen's attention was not on the boat itself. He was watching it from his car. From the boat, 3 men emerged. 2 of them were shirtless and looked like thugs, while the third man with black hair appeared to be a businessman. One of the thugs called the black-haired man boss and asked him something. They mentioned that they had just made some money, but their boss had already spent 1 million on a woman from Bald Tiger. "Isn't that too wasteful?" one thug remarked. He asked them if they even knew who that woman was, adding that money wouldn't be an issue if they had her. Hearing this, both thugs became excited. The black-haired man then asked one of the thugs if he had finished the business with the company. That thug reassured him, saying not to worry and that he had already arranged a shipping company. They rented a high-end office building for the offices, as per his request. The other thug told the black-haired boss that he had also hired a headhunting company to find the prettiest girls for the secretary and front desk positions, assuring him he wouldn't be disappointed. Hearing this, the black-haired boss smiled and said, "With the underwater breathing ability, I have awakened. As long as we find the location of a sunken ship, we can bring all the treasures to shore. Then we will have as much money as we want," he said with a laugh. He told the thugs to follow him closely, promising that he wouldn't let them starve. While they were talking, something suddenly jumped onto a tree behind them, alerting the 3 men. The black-haired boss "Who's there?" he asked. It was Chen, hiding behind the tree. Chen stepped out and told the black-hailed man, "I've seen a lot of perverts, but there are some special ones." Seeing Chen emerge from behind the tree, the black-hailed man pulled out his knife. He immediately jumped to attack Chen, shouting, "You've got a lot of nerve, but people like you don't live long," he shouted, fully intent on killing Chen. Little did he know, Chen was a martial artist. Chen gathered all his energy into his leg and kicked the ground with full force. His attack was so powerful It shattered the ground, sending the black-haired man bouncing into the air. As he fell, Chen struck his hand, forcing him to drop the knife. Not giving the black-haired man any chance to fight back, Chen kicked him in the stomach with such force that he went flying, crashing into a tree. The other two thugs, terrified at the sight of their boss being defeated, froze in fear. One thug exclaimed, "It's impossible. The boss became so much stronger and faster after getting his superpower. He can easily defeat 5 guys." The second thug, panicking, said, "This isn't good. Let's run away." But before they could make their escape, Chen struck the back of their heads, knocking them unconscious and causing them to collapse to the ground. After taking down the 2 thugs, Chen turned to the black-hailed man and asked him to look at him. The black-hailed man, frightened, asked Chen what he was doing. Well, Chen was about to test out his mind control power. He activated the mind control skill and asked the black-hailed man what his name was and what he did. As he gazed into Chen's eyes, the black-hailed man's mind was controlled by Chen, causing his eyes to turn purple. He approached Chen and told him that his name was Zhang Changshao, that he owned a ship and that he smuggled for a living. A month ago, he had gained the superpower to breathe underwater. Hearing the black-haired man reveal everything about himself, Chen was pleased because his mind control was extremely effective. The black-haired man was now essentially a puppet under his control. The black-haired man continued, telling Chen that he raided sunken ships in the depths and exchanged any treasure he found for money with wealthy individuals. After the black-haired man revealed everything, Chen canceled the mind control. As soon as the mind control ended, the black-haired man's broken hand began to hurt terribly, and he fell to the ground. He called Chen boss and asked what had happened to his hand. Chen, confused, told him, "You broke it yourself accidentally." Hearing this, the black-haired man again called Chen boss and said he understood. Realizing that his mind control had affected the black-haired man's judgment as well, Chen told him to rest a bit on the boat first, saying he would be there in a second after waking up the other 2. The black guy followed his order. Chen knew that to raise his lizard he would need a huge amount of food. Zhang Changshou had a ship and often worked with rich people. Chen thought that perhaps he could get money through Zhang's company to raise his lizard. Once again, he used his mind control skill and controlled the other 2 thugs. The effect of Chen's mind control is amazing. There was some resistance when he tried to control Zhang Changshou, but it was very easy when it came to normal thugs. It's especially effective on weak-minded people. After a few minutes, Chen went to the ship that the black-hailed guy had mentioned. A man wearing glasses, a man who also worked on the boat, asked the black-hailed guy who Chen was. The black-hailed guy told him that Chen was his boss and that they needed to be respectful to him. Hearing this, all the men on the ship greeted Chen respectfully. Then the black-hailed guy asked the man with glasses to prepare the contract for the transfer, saying, "This is my boss's ship now." In a few minutes, the man with glasses prepared the transfer contract and handed it over to Chen. Chen took the document and asked the man with glasses to wait for him at the office the next day. He then told the black-haired guy who was injured to follow him to the hospital. The next day, early in the morning, out at sea, Chen continued his hunt with his sea iguana. They immediately attacked it. A great white shark took the sea iguana into its mouth and tried to bite it. However, just as it attempted to bite, the sea iguana raised its spikes, injuring the shark. The shark died, and seeing this, the others got scared and fled. Then, Chen's sea iguana began eating the dead shark's body. It gained 10 evolution points. Chen was connected to the sea iguana and shared its senses. He tasted the great white shark's meat and thought it was very tender. After eating the shark, Chen received a system notification stating that his clone had met the evolution requirements. The notification asked, "Does he want to evolve?" The sea iguana. Chen was a little surprised to find that he could make the choice now. He confirmed it to evolve. The sea iguana came out of the sea and its evolution began. Lightning of evolution started coursing through the sea iguana's body, causing it immense pain. At the same time, in the gym, Chen also felt the same pain and collapsed to the ground. He looked at his stats window and saw that he had leveled up and was now level 1. His constitution was 130 and his spirit was 38. His beginner traits, external aura and key perception, now had 280 experience points. His skills had also been enhanced. They were all now at the intermediate level. His 8 extremities boxing skill had 370 experience points, stepping cloud jump had 290, and tan leg technique had 370 points. Chen's clone had evolved into a scale-armored, spiny lizard. It was a newborn, ferocious beast, attempting to evolve into a ferocious beast lord. It had evolved twice and needed 5,000 evolution points for its next evolution. It also gained an ability named Water Affinity. Chen's body had also become more muscular. He was happy because he had made a breakthrough, and his constitution was now 13 times that of a normal person. He had reached a level equivalent to great success in the dark realm of ancient martial arts. However, upon looking at his status window, Chen was a little disappointed that his constitution didn't double after this evolution. Still, this confirmed that it had doubled the last time. Because his base stat low, he looked into the sea iguana's details and noticed that it now had water affinity. However, he didn't know anything about it and wondered what it meant to have water affinity. Chen then connected himself to the sea iguana and was surprised to see its body size. The sea iguana's body had become much larger. Its bone density was several times greater than before, and its weight had reached 4 to 5 tons. Its power had doubled, and the claws were as strong as steel. Now, it was much more explosive than before. Following the ship, Chen noticed that the sea iguana could now swim at up to 70 kilometers per hour, faster than a large ship. The sea iguana made less noise and also felt less resistance while swimming. Chen thought this must be due to the water affinity ability. The next day, Chen called the glasses guy and asked him if anyone had been asking for treasures lately. The glasses guy told him that no one had been asking recently. Hearing that, Chen said they would now find the treasure themselves. He then asked the glasses guy how the research was going. The glasses guy informed him that they had found a few locations with sunken ships, but without Boss Zhang, who could breathe underwater, they couldn't do anything. Chen told the glasses guy, "Don't worry about it, he can do that." Chen looked into the database and found that the shallow water areas of routes used by Z country in the past, as well as the major commercial waterways used by H country and R country, had mostly been explored. However, there were still many priceless ships in the deeper areas. Chen took his sea iguana to a location 25 kilometers off the southeast coast of the Yellow Sea. Chen connected with the sea iguana and checked that he could now breathe deeply underwater after this evolution. His perception had also increased. He could feel the area up to 20 kilometers around him. He was assured that now he would be ready to go after tidying everything up. Then, he disconnected from the sea iguana. He looked at his phone and saw that it was almost 11 o'clock. He decided to get some food to treat himself, thinking, isn't the point of raising a clone to enjoy life? Chen went to Pedestrian Street, which was near his house. The meal was nice, but Chen was surprised to find that just one meal cost over $3,000. While he was returning home, he noticed something. He saw a girl lying unconscious on the ground, and two men were checking on her. The scene didn't look right to Chen as a righteous man of society. Chen raised his voice and asked them what they were doing. Chen was confident because he knew that with his growing strength and his passion for martial arts awakening, as long as there was no real danger, he didn't mind stepping in. Seeing Chen step in, the thugs became very angry. One thug, in anger, asked Chen what he had just said. Another thug pulled out a knife and shouted, "Kid, get lost!" The original enslavers and Sponson unwillingly disappeared. When he didn't react to it, the officers became dead. At one point, Shen didn't really want to fight them. He just wanted to scare them. Shen's aura took the form of a beast and directed its gaze at the thugs. Although it was not visible to the human eye, people could feel its pressure. Both of the thugs got scared. They were confused and didn't understand why it felt like they were being stared down by a beast. Scared, one thug asked the other, "Let's get out of here." But suddenly, the girl started laughing. She mocked the thugs, asking them if they were actually scared. Are they really not real men? Seeing the woman provoking the thugs, Chen wondered if she was crazy. Hearing the woman's words, the thugs started to rethink their decision to run away. Looking at the woman, they thought that a woman like her didn't come around every day. They couldn't let her think they were weak. Immediately, the thugs charged at Chen. One thug said to the other that there was no reason to be afraid of Chen as he was just one guy. The other thug agreed, saying, "Yeah, let's get him. This guy's way too cocky." Chen was at a loss for words seeing them charge at him. Everything had already been resolved, but because of the girl, the fight ultimately broke out. Left with no choice, Chen got into his martial arts pose. When the thugs were within reach, he kicked them in the stomach, sending them flying. Chen barely used 10% of his strength. Otherwise, that kick could have reduced them to mush. He decided to let them off this time. They'd done wrong, but not enough to deserve death. Both thugs were very scared. While running away, they called Chen a demon who had come straight out of hell. After the thugs ran away, the girl stood up, laughing like a drunk person. She praised Chen, saying he was amazing and strong. Seeing her act like this, Chen wondered if she was drugged. He immediately took out his smartphone and called the cops, informing them that there was a woman who seemed drunk outside Shengtang Bar. He told the cops that she seemed a bit compromised. While Chen was on the call, the woman came close and started teasing him. In a lovely voice, she asked Chen why he had called the cops if she wasn't pretty and if he didn't want to take her home. Chen didn't respond to her and waited for the cops. Finally, after dealing with that, it was time for Chen to control the giant lizard and search for the sunken ship Chen controlled. He took the giant lizard and headed to the location that the glasses guy had sent him. The information was correct, and there really was a sunken ship here. Chen activated his energy sensing ability, but right now, his energy sense could only reach about 20 meters. Chen needed to keep improving it, but even with just that, after a few minutes of searching, he hit the jackpot. On the shipwreck, he found solid gold bars. After finding the gold, Chen gave orders to the glasses guy to steer the ship 3 kilometers east and drop a crate. The glasses guy said, "Got it," and got to work. While he was preparing the crate, a man called the glasses guy and asked him if anyone else on the boss's crew, besides Zhang Changshou, could breathe underwater. The glasses guy told the other man to stop asking questions and not to pry into the boss's secrets. Then, they dropped the crate, and Chen's sea iguana placed all the gold bars onto it. Chen was connected to the sea iguana, and after it placed all the gold bars in the crate, Chen asked the glasses guy to start recovering the loot. After recovering the gold, Chen went back to check the ship again. While exploring, he saw a piece of metal stuck to the wall of the ship. The sea iguana tried to cut the piece of metal, but it was too tough. Chen was surprised because his sea iguana's claws could easily tear. The sea iguana's claws could tear through regular metal, but they barely left a mark on this. Chen thought this must be some kind of special alloy. It could be very valuable, and decided to take it back for study. The sea iguana grabbed the huge rock and began to swim toward the surface. But before it could reach the top, suddenly a white snake-like fish attacked the sea iguana. It was a huge fish that Chen had never seen before. The fish grabbed the sea iguana with its sharp teeth, trying to kill it. Seeing the ambush, Chen became angry, thinking, "Who do you think you are, even though you're longer and bigger than me? When it comes to strength, offense, and defense, you're no match for me." What Chen said was right. In front of his sea iguana, that white fish was nothing. It killed the fish and ate it like sashimi. A few hours later, Chen went to a beach. Looking at a huge rock, Chen thought, the reefs have been eroded by seawater for years, making them incredibly hard. The deserted beach at night is the perfect spot to test my strength. Thinking that, he punched the rock and saw that the force worked both ways. But Chen's bone density is nearly 20 times that of an average human. Plus, with his external shield absorbing most of the impact, his hand only feels a bit sore. And that slight soreness, his body's recovery ability gets rid of it almost instantly. Chen continued practicing his boxing on the huge rock. After this evolution, his physique had surpassed 200. Chen hadn't tested it yet, but he knew his punches should weigh at least 3,000 pounds or 1.5 tons. And with his outer energy boost and 8 extremities boxing technique, he could punch straight through a person with ease. To test his power, Chen punched the huge rock with full force, and with just one punch, he destroyed it. After training for that long, Chen was very exhausted and fell to the ground. He was training here because his punching bag at home wasn't durable enough and he couldn't train at the park either. With modern technology, if someone recorded him and uploaded it online, it'd be a huge problem if people found out he is extraordinary. It would only bring trouble. That's why he could only train freely at this empty beach. Chen looked at his hand, and it was already healed. He could never believe how insane his recovery ability is. He stopped for less than a minute, and the scrapes on his hands were already gone. While he was busy checking his healing ability, the sea iguana returned to him with the piece of metal. Chen examined the metal and saw that this irregular black ore shined with a metallic luster, but at first glance, it didn't seem particularly special. When he tried to pick up the metal, he was surprised because the chunk weighed close to 200 pounds. It was heavy and extremely tough. Even the giant lizard's claws struggled to scratch it. Chen thought that this was perfect for crafting a weapon. But he knew that with his current skills, making a suitable weapon would be difficult. So for now, he decided to focus on dealing with those gold bars. After training, Chen returned to the ship and asked the glasses guy, "Where's the stuff?" The glasses guy told him, he said that it's all on the ship and everything's been cleaned up. He led Chen to the captain's cabin where all the gold was. While Chen was checking the gold, the glasses guy asked him how much money it was worth. He was amazed to see all that gold, saying he had never seen so many gold bars in his life. Chen told the glasses guy that the gold bars didn't have any markings, so they must have been privately minted, which means they can't sell them as antiques. The next day, after doing some research, Chen found a shop in bustling downtown where he could sell the gold on the black market. Just as he entered, the receptionist welcomed him. Chen immediately asked her if they buy gold here. The receptionist told him they did and asked if he was selling rings or necklaces. Chen showed her the gold bars from his bag and told her that he wanted to sell these. The receptionist was quite surprised, saying it was quite a lot of gold. She asked Chen to please come upstairs and she would take him to meet someone. When Chen went upstairs, he met the manager, who was in charge of the shop. The manager greeted him and asked for his name and how much gold he was selling. Chen introduced himself, then opened his bag and told the manager that he wanted to sell all of the gold. Seeing the gold in the bag, the manager told Chen that he would need to have his team check the quality of the gold. He asked Chen to please wait a moment. The manager's staff got to work and started checking the gold while Chen sat on the sofa, waiting for them to finish. After a few minutes, the manager came back and told Chen that his gold bars weighed a total of 1.250 grams. Since they were not very pure and were privately made, they would offer 400 yuan per gram. He asked Chen if that worked for him. Chen knew that privately made gold was hard to sell and that the price the manager was offering was reasonable, so he agreed. After all the necessary processes were completed, Chen received a message from his bank informing him that his account had been credited with 45,000,000 yuan. Chen then left the shop. While driving in his car, he saw many people returning from their colleges or workplaces. Seeing them, Chen thought, people my age are still hustling through college. While I can make millions from just one adventure, all of this feels too surreal to Chen, who has been poor all his life. After getting that much money, Chen decided that first he should get a car because his current car has such a low chassis and is terrible on the bumpy coastal roads. He went directly to a luxury auto showroom and the glasses guy went with him. Both of them began looking for the perfect car that Chen could use daily. While they were checking out cars, some new customers entered the showroom. It was a black-haired guy and his red-haired girlfriend. When Chen saw that girl, he immediately recognized her because she was his ex. Back then, Chen spent a fortune trying to win her over. And what did she do? She chased after wealth and status, living it up with rich boys. When the red-haired girl saw Chen, she mocked him, telling her boyfriend, "That guy over there is the loser who used to chase after me." Hearing that, her boyfriend laughed at Chen and asked, "What's a broke college kid like you doing in a luxury car showroom?" Hearing that, the glasses guy got very angry, asking them, "Who are you calling broke?" But Chen stopped the glasses guy, telling him not to mind them. Seeing the glasses guy angry, the black-haired boy said, "Are we not allowed to say the truth? Aren't you just a broke college student? This isn't a place you can afford, is it?" The red-haired girl told her boyfriend not to waste time on him and to let's go look at cars. The girl went and picked a red car, telling her boyfriend she wanted this one. Her boyfriend got scared. When he saw the expensive car, he tried to make an excuse, saying, "Let me check it out for you." He was thinking that money is for impressing women, and he only gets a few tens of thousands a month to spend, so how could he actually buy her a luxury car? On the other hand, Chen checked out a white car. Looking at the car, Chen thought, this car has a high chassis and can carry stuff. It should meet all my needs. He told the saleswoman that he wanted this car and would pay by card. The saleswoman told Chen that the car cost 2.38 million yuan and asked if he would be paying by card or in full. Chen told her that he would pay in full. The red-haired girl was shocked to hear that Chen was paying for the car by card and that the car cost 2.38 million. But her boyfriend came over and told her that Chen was just pretending. There was no way he had 2.38 million in his account. Hearing that, the red-haired girl agreed, telling him that back then, Chen couldn't even afford anything but instant noodles for weeks just to chase her. They made fun of Chen, calling him a broke student who was pretending to buy a luxury car. The black-haired guy came over and told Chen that there was no need to put on a show, because it would be embarrassing if his card got declined. The glasses guy told the black-haired guy that it was none of his business. The glasses guy immediately accepted the deal. The red-haired girl was laughing at Chen, thinking he was acting like he could really afford it, but he was just bluffing. After a few minutes, the salesgirl returned and handed Chen his card and the key to the car, saying, "This is yours now." Chen thanked her and then looked at his ex-girlfriend and her new boyfriend. The boyfriend was shocked to see that Chen had actually bought the 2.38 million yuan car. The red-haired girl was also very confused, wondering how Chen had gotten so rich. The glasses guy grabbed the boyfriend by the collar, asking, "Aren't you going to keep your word and call our boss Dad?" But then Chen intervened and told the glasses guy not to waste time on people like this. While leaving with Chen, the glasses guy told the two of them that his boss was too kind. "If it were up to me, you wouldn't leave here today without saying Dad," he added. The black-haired guy was very embarrassed, and the red-haired girl was speechless. When Chen got into his new luxury car, she chased after him, asking him to just hear her out. But Chen didn't stop. Seeing her, chasing Chen's car, a saleswoman commented that she thought she had found a rich guy, but missed out on someone with real potential. Another saleswoman standing beside her agreed, saying, "That's just how people are. They only regret it after losing something." After leaving the showroom, Chen went to Cloud's Edge restaurant, N-City's top spot for fine dining and service. When he entered with his luxury car, all the waitresses greeted him with respect. He went to a private room when a waitress showed him. The waitress handed him the menu, asking what he would like to order. Chen looked at the menu and ordered a 5,888 yuan Boston lobster and a 7,888 yuan king crab, along with many other items. When the food arrived, two girls came to personally feed Chen with their hands. All the food tasted more delicious when the girls personally fed him. Chen was happy and said, "It's pricey but worth it." He was thinking that after cooking so many meals for his lizard, it was time to enjoy the luxury of life himself. While he was enjoying his meal, suddenly he got a message on his phone. It was from Chen's college advisor, who informed students that classes would start in a week and they had to report to school on time. When Chen saw the message from the advisor, he remembered that he was still a sophomore. Chen then opened his status window. His constitution had now reached 327, and his spirit was 49. He still had only one talent, mind control, his traits. External aura and key perceptions experience points also increased. The power of his skills, extremities boxing, stepping cloud jump, and tan leg technique had also grown. His companion, the armored spiked lizard's evolution points had reached 2,160, which required 5,000 points for the third evolution. Looking at the status window, Chen understood that once classes started, he would have less time, so he needed to earn more money quickly to help his little lizard break through to the Shadow Realm. A few days later, in the deep sea, the swordfish, the fastest swimmer among fish, can reach speeds of up to 60 miles per hour, about 90 kilometers per hour. However, at this moment, Chen's sea iguana is even faster. After racing against the swordfish, the sea iguana enjoys a delicious meal of sailfish. Once he is full, Chen decides to resume his treasure hunting. As he eats the sailfish, he gains 10 evolution points. With that, he gets back to searching for treasure. While exploring, Chen discovers that by spreading out his senses, he can roughly detect objects dozens of kilometers away. Unfortunately, even after scanning the seabed, he hasn't found any shipwrecks. He grows disappointed as several days have passed without any results. Chen thinks that now that he has these abilities, he needs to be even more cautious in his actions. The next day, he visits a high-end office building in N-City. Since Zhang Changshou transferred the company to him, he hasn't visited it even once. Chen is impressed. The building is located in the busiest area of N-City, and it's clear that Zhang Changshou went all out to make the company look good. Chen's new company is named Tianlan Marine Industries. He enters the building with a man wearing glasses. At the reception desk, Nai Xin, the receptionist, greets the man in glasses, but does not recognize Chen. The man then asks Xiao Ning to call all the employees to the boss's office. A few minutes later, all the female employees gather in Chen's office. The man in glasses points at Chen and announces, "This is your new boss, Mr. Chen." The women are visibly amazed. Their new boss is young, handsome, and incredibly rich. The man in glasses begins introducing people to Chen. Pointing at Naixin, he says, "She is our receptionist." Naixin greets Chen with a blush. As the introductions continue, a stunning woman approaches and hands Chen a cup of coffee. The man introduces her as Su Lingye, Chen's personal secretary. However, Chen, focused on reading documents, simply tells Su Lingye to leave the coffee on the table. Chen is surprised to see that despite being just a shell company, Tianlan Marine Industries is surprisingly well equipped, and maintaining it costs hundreds of thousands. Chen understands that maintaining this company every month will require him to search for more shipwrecked treasures. He calls the man in glasses and tells him to end the introductory meeting and have everyone return to work. He then orders him to head back to the ship and keep an eye on things for now. The man in glasses acknowledges the order and leaves. Chen knows that the mind control effect is stable for now, but subconscious hypnosis isn't foolproof. He understands that he needs to ensure the employees don't interact too much with the outside world. Chen then takes his coffee and enjoys it while gazing out the window. Suddenly, he receives a system notification. He has gained 0.7 constitution points. Multiple notifications appear at once. Looking at them, Chen thinks, using clones to hunt while just lying around and getting stronger. He then connects his mind to the sea iguana, which is currently hunting fish. Now that it can control its internal energy, it easily preys on large fish. This time, it has caught a barracuda. Chen knows that barracudas are usually about 2 meters long. When the sea iguana eats the barracuda, Chen notices that its meat is clearly different. It provides much more energy. Just as the sea iguana finishes eating, Chen suddenly receives a system notification. Chen's clone devours the fish with effort and gains 90 evolution points. Chen also gains 9 constitution points. As soon as the notification appears, his internal energy activates on its own and his body becomes more muscular. Chen immediately senses that something is off. He realizes that this fish must have been highly unusual. Now his muscles and bones are strengthening at a rate 10 times faster than before. After witnessing its effects, he tries to find another one of the same kind. Unfortunately, in the vast ocean, that mutated fish seems to be the only one of its kind. Meanwhile, at the Tianlan Marine Industries office, receptionist Nai Xin asks Su Lingye if she thinks their boss has a significant other. Su Lingye smiles and teasingly asks, "Why do you want to know? Are you planning to make a move on him?" Another female colleague jokingly asks, "Nai Xin, are you fangirling again?" Hearing this, Nai Xin turns red with embarrassment. As they are chatting, someone suddenly asks, "Why aren't you off work yet?" It's Chen, who is about to leave for home. Su Lingye greets him with a smile and explains, "We still have a few things to finish up." With his sharp hearing, Chen had already picked up on their conversation while he was in the elevator. However, to avoid any awkwardness, he decides to pretend he didn't hear anything. Smiling, he tells them, "Since everyone's working so hard, dinner's on me tonight." Hearing that, everyone gets excited. Chen and all the girls head to Cloud's restaurant. Nai Xin is especially impressed when she sees Chen's luxury vehicle, worth over 2 million. The other girls are equally amazed upon arriving at such a lavish restaurant. A waitress comes to take their order. After dinner, Chen tells the girls that he has something to take care of tonight, so he will arrange rides for them. They all thank him warmly, and together they enjoy the meal. After driving all the girls home, Chen heads to a deserted rocky shore. The sea breeze is so soothing that it lifts his spirits. He begins practicing his boxing on the rocks. He hasn't stopped training all this time, and now his physique is over 20 times that of an average person. His punch strength exceeds 2 tons, and with the external force field, his strength doubles, making his punches nearly 5 tons in force. But the stronger he gets, the harder it becomes to control his power. Chen's footing isn't steady, and he loses control again and again. This makes him realize that he needs to keep training to get used to his strength. While he is training, he suddenly notices a boat. He is surprised to see people in such a remote place so late at night. On the shore, a group of thugs is waiting to receive the boat. One of the thugs on shore asks the thug from the boat, "Don't you trust me yet? We've done so many deals together." The thug from the boat replies, "It's just that the heat is on right now." He then adds, "Rules are the same as always. Money first, then the goods." Chen, hiding behind a rock, spies on them carefully. He understands that it's a D-grade deal, but since they're armed, he needs to be cautious. The receiver thug's men check the goods and confirm to their boss it's top quality. Hearing this, the receiver thug hands over the money and shakes hands with the dealer, saying, "Pleasure doing business with you." As they prepare to leave, the receiver thug warns his men, "Be careful, things are tight lately." His men reassure him, "Boss, we only work through single channels. Even if something goes wrong with the goods, they won't be traceable." These thugs think no one can catch them, but little do they know, Chen is coming for them. With lightning speed, Chen charges in and punches one thug in the neck, knocking him out instantly, while kicking another at the same time. The thug's boss is shocked to see Chen. Panicked, he immediately pulls out his gun to shoot, but before he can aim or fire, Chen reaches him in an instant and punches him in the face, sending him flying. In just 5 seconds, Chen knocks down all 3 thugs. They die immediately upon impact, but Chen doesn't feel sorry. He knows these people have lost all humanity. Taking them out is practically a public service. Meanwhile, out at sea, the thugs on the boat notice something approaching at high speed. It's Chen's sea iguana. The creature charges in and slams into the boat from below. Against the sea iguana's sheer force, the boat doesn't last long. It snaps in half. The thugs are shocked and have no idea what just happened. Did they hit something massive? As the ship breaks apart, all the thugs fall into the sea. As they struggle in the water, they see Chen's 2-meter-long sea iguana, which looks like a terrifying sea monster. The sight sends them into a panic. "There's a monster! Somebody help!" They scream, frantically swimming toward the shore. One by one, Chen's sea iguana starts hunting them down as they desperately try to escape. Realizing there's no way to get away, one thug pulls out his gun, gritting his teeth. "Not like we can run anyway. Let's go all out. I don't believe you can dodge a bullet." He aims at the sea iguana and fires, but to his horror the bullet bounces right off after hitting its tough hide. Seeing this, the thugs became even more terrified, but before they could react, Chen's sea iguana attacked. Within seconds, it eliminated all the fleeing thugs. After finishing them off, the sea iguana grabbed the suitcase the thugs had received from the dealer and returned to Chen. Sometime later, in Chen's room, Chen opened the suitcase and found it filled with money. Each stack contained 10 grand, and with 300 stacks, that meant 3 million in total. Looking at all that cash, Chen thought, money laid out in front of you feels so much more real than just numbers on a bank card. But the next morning, at a cafe, Chen went to a cafe with his secretary, Su Langye. All the men in the cafe were stunned to see her, a breathtaking woman with a cold, untouchable aura. She was the type of woman most men dreamed about, but Su Langye didn't even glance at them. Then she walked straight to Chen, handed him some papers, and said, "Boss, please sign this." Hearing this, the onlookers became jealous and started whispering among themselves. Chen then stood up and, in a serious tone, said, "Let's go back to the company. Notify everyone, meeting time." Seeing his authoritative demeanor, people in the cafe thought to themselves, "This young man feels as unshakable as a mountain. His presence is intimidating." Later, in the meeting room, Chen pointed at a graph and told his employees, "Handle every little detail carefully and you will be the company's heroes. As long as the company's performance keeps rising, by year's end, everyone will get a big bonus." While Chen was speaking, he suddenly received a voicemail from his school, informing him that today was the last day to register, and he was the only student left who hadn't done so. Hearing this, Chen immediately sent an apology message to his teacher, saying he would head over right away. He then turned to leave, telling everyone, "I need to go register at school. Since there's not much work today, everyone can leave early." Before leaving, he also instructed, "While I'm gone, Su Lengye will handle all company matters." Hearing this, Naixin gasped in shock. The boss is still a student? Another girl standing beside her muttered in amazement. He seems so composed. I thought he was some rich heir raised with perfect manners. Scene shifts to N University campus. When Chen arrived in his new luxury car, the entire campus was shocked. Wait, is Chen actually a rich kid? The guy recognized the car and told the other students, "That car is worth over 2 million. Hearing this, the students became even more shocked. Over 2 million? That's insane! Suddenly, the news spread like wildfire across the N University campus forum. A video of Chen was posted on the forum with the caption, "On the last day of new student registration, a tall, rich, and handsome guy shows up in a car worth over 2 million. Many people commented on the post. A student from Chen's class recognized him and commented, "Isn't that Shen Chu? He got so handsome over the summer." Another guy replied, "Who cares about how handsome he is? He's driving a car worth 2 million. His family must be billionaires." Meanwhile, a yellow-haired girl dressed in revealing clothes was browsing the university's campus forum. When she saw Chen's photo, she paused and thought, "Looks so familiar, especially his eyes, black and white like stars, radiating a sharp brilliance." While reading through the comments on Chen's post, she came across one that said, "Is not a freshman, he's a sophomore in the finance department. He's starting his junior year now. His name's Chen Chu." The yellow-haired girl was surprised to learn that Chen was in the finance department the same year as her. On the other hand, after completing his registration, Chen was heading home, deep in thought. He was worried that while his body and strength were improving rapidly, he only knew 8 extremities, cloud steps, and tan leg techniques. Chen realized that he needed to learn new skills to better control and utilize his current power. While walking, he saw some students practicing martial arts. Watching them, Chen thought, "Someone like that, I could squash them with a single slap." However, he understood that those fancy moves weren't for him. If he wanted control, he simply needed to keep training himself. So, instead of going home after leaving school, Chen went to Longtang's steel company. He approached the receptionist and said that he wanted to place a custom steel order, about 100 tons or more. Hearing this, the receptionist asked him, "Please follow me to the VIP lounge. I'll get in touch with our sales manager." Chen followed her to the VIP lounge, and after waiting for a few minutes, the manager arrived. The manager greeted Chen and asked, "What kind of steel would you like to order?" Chen replied, "I need a steel pillar, 2 meters in diameter and 5 meters tall, along with a few steel blocks weighing 1, 5, 10, and 20 tons each." Hearing that, the manager did some calculations and said, "Based on your requirements, the total weight comes to about 200 tons. The estimated cost is around 700,000, but the final price will depend on the finished product." Chen responded, "That's fine, let's sign the contract." The next morning, at Jiang Changshou's makeshift dock, the glasses guy showed Chen a large building and told him, "This whole area is your warehouse, boss." Seeing that, Chen praised the glasses guy and then said, "You can head back. I want to look around by myself." The glasses guy replied, "Understood." Then he left. While Chen was exploring, he suddenly received a notification. Quality of life. Your clone has gained 8 evolution points through diligent eating. You have gained 0.8 constitution points. Seeing the message, Chen thought, "There is Mingdok transformation and beyond transformation, and I haven't even reached the transformation stage yet. I still have a long way to go." He looked around the warehouse and thought, "Once the steel pillar is set up, this will be my training ground." The maximum evolution points per day are 100, so Chen needs at least 1 more day to evolve his sea iguana. Thinking about this, Chen said, "Compared to the giant lizard's progress, my body is still way too slow." Meanwhile, the police arrived at the scene where Chen had killed those thugs the previous night. A policeman recognized the receiver thug as Lo Hao, known as Big Boss Lo in the underworld. He owned a bar and commanded over a dozen lackeys. Lu Hao's right hand was almost severed by a blunt weapon wielded with incredible force, barely hanging by a thread of skin. Lying beside Luo Hao was Iron Lao Chi. His chest had been hit with immense force, crushing his organs and killing him on the spot. The police concluded that all 3 men had been killed within a minute by the same person. They realized that the strength and speed of this individual were insane. They were all wondering, who could pull off something like this? While the police captain was examining the bodies on the seacoast, he suddenly received a wireless message saying that they had found another body at sea. At the same time, at Qianlan Maritime Company, Chen was resting on the massage chair. Secretary Su Lenye came in and told Chen that the company had no work every day and everyone was just playing around. She asked Chen if they shouldn't hand out some flyers or do something to attract attention. Chen told her there was no need, saying, "Business is like fishing. You wait for the fish to bite." Hearing Chen's words, Su Lunyu thought, "Even though you're a rich kid, boss, Won't we go bankrupt like this? You want to wait for the fish to bite? But if we don't advertise, how will anyone come to us? While she was thinking that, Niaxin suddenly entered Chen's office and said, "Boss, someone's here to see you. They say they've got a business deal to discuss." Hearing this, Su Lenge was shocked. She could not believe that someone had really come to deliver money after all. A few minutes later, Niaxin led a man in a white suit into the meeting room. As soon as the man entered, he asked for Zhang Laoda, the previous boss of the company. Chen told the man in the white suit that Zhang Laoda and his people were all under him now. Hearing that, the man in the white suit complimented Chen for actually managing to get Zhang Laoda on his side. The man then introduced himself as Wang Tianhua. Chen called him Boss Wang and asked him to sit down so they could talk. After they all sat down, Su Lenye said, "Boss, I'll make some tea for you all." Chen told her to go ahead, and then he got to the main business. Wang told Chen that he had a centuries-old sunken ship worth at least tens of millions. He asked Chen what he thought, and if he could make it happen. With confidence, Chen asked Wang, "Once we get the goods, how does Boss Wang plan to split it?" Wang said that since he provided the map, he would take 70% and Chen would get 30% because that was the rate even with international teams. When Chen heard that, he told Wang to go find an international team instead. Wang was a little surprised by Chen's words, but he didn't get angry and asked Chen what his suggestion was. Chen said, "Boss Wang, we should aim for at least a 50-50 split, otherwise forget it." Wang wanted to deny it, but he knew that with the laws being so strict nowadays, private salvage was impossible and Chen was his only shot. Wang thought for a second and then turned to Chen, asking him if he was sure he could get it done. With confidence, Chen told Wang, "Guys like Zhang Laodai have plenty under me. If Boss Wang isn't reassured, you can come along and see for yourself." Wang agreed and extended his hand, saying, "50-50 it is." Then, "Pleasure working with you." Chen shook his hand and responded, "It's a pleasure working with you." Meanwhile, at the police headquarters, the police captain was investigating the bodies they found in the sea in its coastal area. He was shocked to see such exaggerated claw marks on the dead bodies. He couldn't understand what kind of creature had claws that big and wondered if it was some abnormal creature. The police captain logged into the confidential internal dialogue system. He had already reported to his higher-ups about the multiple deaths reported, 4 dead at sea, suspected to have been killed by a beast attack. On the other hand, at Chen's company, the huge iron pillar Chen had ordered had arrived. Su Lenyu was surprised by such a huge iron pillar and asked Chen what it was for. Chen told her, "It's a sea-calming pillar buried at the pier to stabilize the waters and hold back the sea dragon kings." Hearing Chen's words, Su Lengyu was amazed that her boss knew so much. After paying for the iron pillar, Chen checked his account balance. It was only 321,800. Seeing the balance, Chen thought, money just flies away. Now I'm down to this little. Sometime later, Chen went to BC Garden Complex where his secretary Su Lenye lives. She came out of the car and said, "Boss, sorry to trouble you again. This version corrects the grammar and improves the flow of the narrative. Let me know if you need further adjustments. Here's the corrected version. Mondays, well, don't you come upstairs for some water?" It was a signal from her, but Chen declined and told her that he had something else to do soon. After saying that, he left. When Chen left, Su Lenye became very embarrassed, thinking, how could I be so bold to say something like that? She became even more embarrassed when she suddenly remembered that her underwear was still lying around on the sofa. Meanwhile, the reason Chen declined Su Lengyu's invitation was because, at dinner earlier, he accidentally snapped his chopsticks. This made him realize that he still needed to practice controlling his strength. So after leaving Su Lenye, Chen didn't directly return home, but went to the seacoast. He practiced his boxing by punching the rocks again. But while practicing on the rocks, Chen realized that he had to achieve perfect mastery to fully use his powers. Chen then released his internal energy and saw that his aura shield could now cover up to 30 meters. He could sense every movement of the wind and grass around him. Then, 3 days later, in the deep sea, Chen was connected to his sea iguana, which was eating a red queen fish. The red queen fish were mutated, and when the sea iguana ate them, it gained 210 evolution points and 21 constitution points. After it finished eating, the sea iguana followed Wang Tianhua's ship. When Chen saw that Wang Tianhua's ship was slowing down, he understood that they must be close. When the ship stopped completely, Chen called and said, "Boss Wang, my other crew has already arrived. When do we start?" Wang was impressed by Chen's quick work. He asked Chen to let him prepare, saying they would begin tonight. Chen agreed and got back to his training. After hard work, he gained 15 aura control experience, and with aura enhancement, his strength multiplied. At night, Wang called Chen, saying that he didn't see Chen's other crew yet. Chen told Wang that they were already underwater. He asked him to just tell the location. Wang was surprised, saying, "That's impressive." He told Chen that the location was 200 meters to the left of his ship, about 708,000 meters deep. After hearing the location, Chen connected himself with the sea iguana and went to that location. However, at that depth, even with the sea iguana's constitution, the water pressure made Chen uncomfortable. When Chen arrived at the location, he saw that there was nothing there. Chen called Wang and told him, 800 meters deep, within a 200-meter radius, and there's nothing. Wang was surprised to hear that Chen had already searched. It was just too fast. Wang could not understand how it was possible that Chen had scanned 708,000 meters deep in just 20 minutes. Wang's secretary checked his laptop and told Wang that, after hundreds of years, the location had likely shifted. He advised his boss to try moving about a kilometer east. Wang apologized and asked Chen if he could check about a kilometer east. Upon hearing that, Chen led his sea iguana to the new location. When it reached the new location, Chen activated his external energy and scanned the whole area. This new location was correct. There really was a centuries-old sunken ship. Chen smiled upon seeing the ship because he was going to get rich. He loaded the loot from the ship onto the ladder and Wang's men pulled it out. Wang's secretary checked and told Wang that 8 pieces were broken and 3 were intact. The estimated value was about 30 million, but if sold privately, they could get another 20 million. Wang, who was on the call with Chen, smiled upon hearing that and said, "Did you hear that, buddy? That's about the situation." Chen told Wang that the rest was up to him. He just needed to collect the money. Then, a few days later, Wang returned with the money. He told Chen that the loot totaled over 23 million. They each got 11.5 million. He asked Chen if he would like to count it. Chen told him that there was no need. He trusted him. Hearing that, Wang laughed, calling Chen a straightforward guy. He told Chen that they would contact him next time they have information. Looking at all that money, Chen thought, "Now my money problem is solved, but my strength is still too weak. I need to train until sniper bullets and grenades won't affect me before I can attempt riskier moves." The next day, at Tianlan Marine Industries, when Chen arrived at the office, Nayin told him that someone had submitted a resume yesterday. They say they can bring 200 fishing enthusiasts every month for a monthly salary of 50,000, she informed him. Chen asked her to let him see it. Nyaxin handed him the resume highlights. As Chen looked through it, he saw that the applicant was a member of the Fishing Association and had connections with many insiders in the field. The moment Chen saw that, he immediately realized it was a scam. Chen told Nyaxin to reject the offer because the applicant was a scammer. Nyaxin then asked him, "Why haven't you been to the office these past few days?" Chen replied that he had been working on a big project and had casually made a few million. Hearing that, Nyaxin was amazed. "Boss, you're amazing!" she exclaimed. Chen smiled and reminded her, "Didn't I say I would treat all of you after this project? So tonight, I'll take you to Yunshang Tianwai to relax." Hearing that, Naye jumped with excitement. Another girl standing behind them thought to herself, "Working here is awesome. Easy work, good pay, and the boss always treats us. Not like my friend's company, where the manager even tried to hit on her." She then wondered if the boss tried to hit on me. Chen told her that he got lucky and caught a bluefin tuna, one fish worth hundreds of thousands. While Chen was relaxing with the girls, a man suddenly approached him and asked, "Are you Mr. Chen, the owner of Tianlan Marine Industries?" The man greeted Chen and introduced himself as Li Tianhui, the deputy general manager of Tianhong Group and also a friend of Wang Tianhua. Chen was a little surprised by his sudden approach. Manager Li then said that he wanted to go fishing at sea and asked Chen if he was interested in a cooperation. Chen replied that as long as it was profitable, he was interested. He then asked Manager Li to come to his company tomorrow so they could discuss it further. Li handed over a card, saying, "This is our boss's business card." Manager Lee took the card and told Chen that he would see them tomorrow. Looking at Manager Lee, a girl commented, "I didn't expect him to be so young." Niexin asked her, "Is this group really that big?" The girl replied, "Their chairman is worth tens of billions. He's even richer than the richest man in N City. And Manager Lee has the same surname as Tianhong's chairman, so maybe he's a relative?" Niexin was amazed to hear that Manager Lee's family was worth tens of billions. Su Lengyu was also shocked, thinking that she never could have imagined running into the son of the richest man over a simple meal. Chen was surprised by the coincidence. He had just been telling Niexin about a fish worth over 10 million, and now he had stumbled upon not just one, but two of them. A few minutes later, Chen's sea iguana ate one of the fish and took the other to the warehouse. Chen and his giant sea iguana looked at the fish and thought, a fish worth over 10 million and its meat doesn't even taste that special. But Chen knew that this wasn't just a fish, it was practically money swimming in the water. Now he just needed to find a buyer and sell it. The next day, while Chen was training his boxing while holding 2-ton dumbbells, he suddenly got a call from Su Lengyu. She told him, "Young Master Lee has been waiting for you at the office for quite a while." Chen said, "All right," and told her that he would head over immediately. A few minutes later, Chen arrived at Tianlan Marine Company. When the meeting started, Manager Lee told Chen that he had obtained the exact location of a shipwreck. Chen asked Manager Lee, "With the wealth of Tianhong Group, is young Master Lee also interested in shipwrecks?" Manager Lee replied, "No one ever thinks they have too much money." After discussing the location and the price of the loot, Chen told Manager Lee that they would split the profits 50-50 once the goods arrived. Manager Lee agreed without hesitation, saying, "It's no problem." From the look on Manager Lee's face and how easily he agreed, Chen immediately realized that he wasn't just after the treasure on board. However, he decided not to say anything. Instead, Chen changed the topic and asked Manager Lee if he knew anyone who ran high-end seafood restaurants, as he had just caught a 4-meter bluefin tuna. Hearing that, Manager Lee was impressed that even bluefin tuna was within Chen's reach. He took out his phone and told Chen, "Actually, I do know someone who owns a seafood restaurant." He then asked, "How about we grab lunch there? I'll introduce you as well." Sometime later, after meeting with the seafood restaurant owner, Chen went to his warehouse. The restaurant owner stepped out of the car and rushed into the warehouse to check the fish. Chen smiled and said, "Don't rush, the fish is right there. It's not going anywhere." A worker inspected the fish and told the restaurant owner, "The fish's quality is perfect. Every aspect meets A-grade standards." Looking at the fish, the restaurant owner said, "Mr. Chen, this fish of yours is truly top-notch. We're all friends here, so how about a flat price of 7 million? What do you think?" Chen made the deal because he thought the price was right. His secretary Su Lengye was amazed to see that a single fish had sold for a whopping 7 million. It was almost unbelievable to her. After receiving the money, Chen went to Marriott International. He brought Su Lengye along, telling her, "Since we had a great haul today, it's time to splurge a little." Su Lengye was astonished upon seeing the Marriott International shopping mall, as it was a gathering place for the world's top luxury brands. Chen bought many items from the mall. Watching him, Su Lengye thought, "This is the epitome of indulgence. Boss's money comes way too easily." While the mall staff were thrilled, thinking that a big spender had arrived after shopping, Chen went to his dock warehouse and moved all the items he had bought inside. Su Lengye was stunned, realizing just how much he had spent. Chen's watch alone was worth 2 million, and he had bought her so many luxury goods. Probably worth over 2 million as well. When they went inside, Chen told Su Lengyu that he wanted to buy a villa. Su Lengyu agreed and then returned home. After she left, Chen connected himself to the sea iguana. The moment he did, he saw 2 massive submarines passing by. Seeing them, Chen turned away in disappointment, thinking, "I'm not strong enough. Otherwise, I would tear those submarines apart." While roaming around, Chen spotted a sea cave deep below. He also noticed some huge claws at the entrance of the cave. Immediately, he realized that something dangerous was lurking inside and decided to leave it untouched, thinking, "There's no need to take unnecessary risks." Inside the sea cave was a giant crab. After noticing Chen's sea iguana, it emerged from the cave and attacked. Seeing the attack, Chen swiftly dodged and said, "Don't think I'm easy to mess with," although he avoided the crab's strike. After witnessing its attack power, he realized that it was much stronger than the mutated ribbon fish. The crab continued its assault, swinging all its claws at the sea iguana. However, the sea iguana moved swiftly, dodging every attack. The force behind the crab's strikes exceeded 10 tons. Now it was Chen's turn to attack. He evaded all of the crab's claws and, channeling his internal energy to its fullest, struck the crab's main body with full force. The crab died instantly upon impact. Looking at its huge body, Chen thought, "This big guy can't be finished in one go. I'll have to absorb it slowly." The sea iguana began eating the giant crab, so Chen disconnected the connection and started searching for reports on unusual marine phenomena in recent years. He was concerned. After seeing the giant ribbonfish, giant triggerfish, and now a giant crab, he was certain that the world might really be changing. While searching, he found a post saying that an M-country nuclear submarine had vanished at a depth of 600 meters in the Pacific, reportedly attacked by an unknown giant sea creature. When he searched further, he found another similar case where a nuclear submarine in the Arctic collided with an underwater iceberg, killing all 127 crew members. Looking at those cases, Chen realized that all of this had happened within the past 2 years. It seemed that the deeper they went, the stronger these unknown creatures became. While Chen was looking into the changing world information, his sea iguana continued eating the giant crab. A system notification popped up, telling Chen that he had earned 290 evolution points and 29 base body stats. After eating, Chen noticed that his sea iguana's body had now grown to 18 meters. Not only that, Chen's physical stats had also increased by over 100 points. His bone structure, muscle strength, everything had reached an entirely new level. Now, when he practiced his boxing on the iron pillar, he found that even punching the iron pole didn't hurt anymore. Looking at his newfound power and strong body, Chen realized that not even a handgun could do more than scratch his skin. With his natural armor and reaction speed, ordinary bullets wouldn't even leave a dent on him. The next day, Chen went to Xinhua bookstore to get some books. He was thinking that, since the world wasn't as simple as he had thought, learning and reading were always the right choices. While Chen was reading books, a girl noticed him and asked her friend to look at how handsome he was. Her friend suggested that she go ask for his contact info, but she was shy and didn't dare approach Chen. Later, Chen returned home. He took out 2 martial arts books that his father had given him, telling him that only by continuously learning could he keep improving. He went to his warehouse and started practicing those techniques. After practicing for a while, Chen realized that Baji Quan and Xingyi Quan seemed simple, but mastering them was no easy task. While he was practicing, he suddenly got a call from Manager Li. When Chen picked up, Manager Li told him that they had arrived. Chen replied, "All right," and told Manager Li to send him his location, as his people would be underwater in half a day. A little later, Chen connected his mind to his sea iguana and went to the location Manager Li had given him. When he arrived, he saw gold in a box. Chen called and told Manager Li that they had found gold and some shattered porcelain. When Manager Li heard that, he asked Chen if they had seen a special box. He told Chen that as long as he could find that box, everything else on the shipwreck was his. Chen agreed and told Manager Li he would ask around. Chen first took the gold, as it alone was worth over 20 million. As for the special box, after looking around for a few minutes, Chen also found a small box that looked completely different from the others. But when Chen looked inside, there was just a pile of black mud. Chen had no idea what Manager Li wanted with it, but he handed it over to Manager Li. With full excitement, Manager Li opened the box only to find mud inside. Seeing that, Manager Li's jaw dropped and he began crying for his elixirs, which were supposed to be inside that box. On the other hand, the police had found more dead bodies near the seacoast. After examining the bodies, a police officer told the deputy chief that, just like the people who died earlier, all their blood was gone and their muscles had dried up like jerky. However, the time of death was only about 10 hours ago. The deputy chief decided to wait for the higher-ups to arrive and investigate. He was a little suspicious because all the victims were thugs, no family ties, but physically strong. The deputy chief ordered the police officers to write up a report later and shut down all entertainment venues in the city. But even after doing all that, later that night, some men died, and all their blood was sucked dry, just like all the other victims. The deputy chief was shocked to find that more people had died. He could not understand how this was happening when everything had clearly been shut down. How did 4 more people die? Days passed and this continued happening. On the other hand, Chen continued his training in the warehouse. After a few days of training, he had made great progress in both Bajiquin and Xingyiquin. After Chen learned those techniques, he received a system notification saying, "You have comprehended a new martial art technique, please name it." Chen decided to call it Explosive Fist because it combines Bajiquan's 8 extreme stance and Xiniquan's half-step Bengguan. It's one step, one explosion, fists like cannonballs. Meanwhile, a fishing boat was fishing in the deep sea. The owner of the ship was very happy because he finally caught the fish after chasing the school for so long. However, he was very cautious because this time the investment was huge and just one fishing net cost millions, so he couldn't afford any mistakes. But suddenly, alarms started ringing. A worker told the owner that there was a hole in the middle of the net and the fish were escaping. Shocked to hear that, the owner asked the worker to pull the net up quickly. After a few minutes, the worker told the owner that the detector showed nothing, but the net wouldn't budge. The reason the net had a hole and wouldn't budge was because Chen's sea iguana was inside it. With a single bite, the sea iguana took dozens of fish at once. Chen was connected to the sea iguana and was very satisfied with this feast. He wasn't worried at all because he knew that with his water affinity, those sonar detectors couldn't detect him at all. After eating hundreds of fish, Chen said, "It's time to head home now that I'm full." The sea iguana left, and the owner retrieved the fishing net but was shocked to see a huge hole in it. He started crying, wondering why all his fishing nets were broken and why his fish were gone. He couldn't understand. What kind of monster or divine being could be behind this? That same evening, while Chen was resting on the dockside, he received a call from Manager Li. When Chen picked up the call, Manager Li told him that he was heading back to N City and, to show his gratitude, he would take Chen to a great place tonight. Chen laughed and said, "If young Master Li invites me, I've got to check it out." Later that night, Chen went to Mengluo Elegant Pavilion with Manager Li. A very beautiful girl in traditional Chinese clothes welcomed them to the pavilion. Manager Li entered and asked the girl if anyone had booked the Yunxiao Hall. The girl smiled and told Manager Li that it was always reserved for him. The Yunxiao Hall he was referring to was a very luxurious hall, where many beauties were present to serve Chen and Manager Li. Some were dancing for them, while others stood by to fulfill all their needs. Seeing the atmosphere of the Yunxiao Hall, Chen thought, no wonder the king neglects his duties. There's a reason. Places like this are perfect for soaking in the atmosphere. After indulging, Chen left the Mengluo Elegant Pavilion and headed home in his car. However, at high speed, someone was following him. Chen activated his internal energy and immediately realized that something was tailing him. The person's aura made him uncomfortable. It felt like the night itself was stalking him. Chen was being followed by that giant lizard. He smiled, wondering if it was a monster or a ghost. This was exciting for Chen, as it had been a while since he stretched his legs. But as Chen was driving, a couple in their luxury car suddenly called and asked if he wanted to spar. Seeing them, Chen became annoyed because, with so many people around, the one following him might stop. Seeing Chen's insane turn, the couple stopped their car, wondering if he was trying to kill himself. Meanwhile, after leaving the couple behind, Chen still didn't slow down and continued toward the seacoast. At Chen's speed, even the fastest car couldn't keep up. However, Chen was surprised to see that the one following him was still sticking close. This made him realize that it wasn't a weakling. When Chen reached the seaside where no one was around, he stopped the car. He got out and called to the person, asking them to come out, saying he wasn't a bad guy. Hearing this, a girl hiding behind a tree stepped out. She was the same girl who had welcomed Chen and Manager Li into that hotel. She smiled and said, "What a funny way to talk, big brother. I was just bathing by the sea and someone took my clothes. Could you grab me something to wear?" Hearing that, Chen said, "You want clothes? Sure, I'll get some for you right now." And with that, he charged toward the girl. Using his full power, Chen punched the girl in the face. But what Chen saw behind the tree shocked him. The girl turned into fog, and when the fog cleared, a very scary-looking female monster emerged. After seeing Chen's strong and rich life force, she immediately attacked him, saying, "I really want to eat you." Surprised by the sudden attack, Chen backed off and asked the monster what she was. The monster told Chen that she was human too, but a more perfect version. She laughed and told Chen that eating him would be like eating hundreds of healthy, energetic people, enough to help her complete the first stage of evolution. That monster could also use internal energy like Chen and attacked him with it, but Chen jumped and dodged all her attacks. He then moved very fast and got behind the monster, saying, "You want to eat me? Let's see if you've got what it takes." The monster was surprised by Chen's speed, but she didn't have the slightest idea what was coming next. To finish her in one go, Chen used his internal energy and punched her with full power. Chen's punch destroyed the ground around him and sent the monster flying. Chen was surprised that this monster could fuse with tree trunks and stones, but every time Chen attacked its attachments, its aura weakened. He understood that it was the monster's weakness and used that to his advantage. After a few minutes of fighting, the monster finally fell to the ground, holding on to its last breath. Chen told the monster that fusing with tree trunks and rocks was a nice survival skill, but too bad it ran into him. Chen then asked her to answer a few questions for him, and he would give her a quick death. The monster laughed and asked Chen if she looked like someone afraid of dying. She looked at the sky and said, "What a beautiful moonlight. Too bad I won't see it again, but it's fine, I've already avenged myself." She told Chen that if she had just one more month, she could have completed her shadow transformation. By then, not even a war god would scare her, but instead she ran into someone like him in a plain old city. After saying all that, the monster's body started to turn into dust and disappeared. Just as she died, Chen got a system notification telling him that he had killed a corruptor and gained 10 attribute points. Chen's internal energy was confused by the notification and wondered what a corruptor was and why he was being given attribute points. Another system notification appeared, telling Chen that attribute points can enhance skills, strengthen weapons, and improve him. They can also unlock special abilities like lightning, ice, fire, and many more. Looking at the message, Chen thought that since he already had extraordinary powers, and soon the giant lizard would too, he smiled, understanding that with the use of these attribute points, his sea iguana could turn into a real-life Godzilla. Chen then left the seaside and went to his warehouse. There, he started searching for information related to corruptors and awakeners on his computer. But his search found no relevant information. Seeing that nothing similar showed up, Chen understood that the authorities had blocked these details. Looking at the computer, he thought, "It's fine, I'm too weak now, but when I become stronger, I will explore that world again. Maybe after my physique goes above 10000, no one will be able to stop me." While he was thinking that, suddenly a system notification appeared, asking Chen to choose an element to enhance. He could choose from wind, fire, water, earth, lightning, light, or dark. Since his current physique was insufficient, only a basic element could be strengthened. Upon seeing that notification, Chen immediately chose lightning to enhance, as he had decided beforehand. When Chen used attribute points to enhance his extraordinary abilities, he acquired lightning mastery and one mental stat. After acquiring lightning mastery, Chen immediately checked it, but he could only create small thunder between his fingers. It was a beginner version of lightning powers, but even with that, Chen was happy and accepted it. Chen then immediately checked his status window. Currently, he was level 1 with 465 physique and 57 mental control points. As techniques, he had external chi at beginner level, chi sense also at beginner level. As skills, he had collapsing punch at beginner level, sky step at intermediate level, spring kick also at intermediate level, and as abilities, he has lightning mastery at beginner level. Now he has 0 attribute points. Its abilities are observation haki, armament haki, and its talents are water affinity and lightning mastery. Seeing the status window, Chen was a little surprised that even lightning mastery has experience points and can be improved through training. After Chen acquired the lightning attribute, he connected himself to his sea iguana and, while looking around, he saw a huge fish, and the sea iguana immediately attacked it. During the attack, there was some lightning power involved. After being hit by the sea iguana's lightning attack, the fish died immediately. It was another mutated sea beast, no less threatening than the giant spider from last time. When the sea iguana ate the fish, it gained 980 evolution points. Chen was surprised to see that even the giant lizard had lightning mastery now, and it was stronger than Chen's. Meanwhile, at N City Airport, the police deputy chief was there to receive 2 agents from the Special Affairs Bureau. One man in black, who introduced himself as Huang Junfeng, thanked the deputy chief in advance for his cooperation. The second man in white, who introduced himself as Nangong Jian, lead investigator for Case 97, asked the deputy chief to show them the body. The deputy chief then took the 2 men to the mortuary to show them the dead body. Seeing the spiritual aura and the monster's aura, the deputy chief was shocked. But before they could gather any information, the monster's aura disappeared. Seeing that the aura had vanished, the man in white told the other man that the killer was dead. The man in black was surprised to hear that. At the same time, Chen was at his warehouse, practicing his techniques. Chen was scared because his power had grown too fast, but he couldn't control it. Just tonight, when he dropped off Naixin, she asked him if he wanted to come upstairs for tea. Chen declined, saying he had plans. He didn't dare visit Naishin's house because he was afraid he might break her couch just by sitting on it. He also couldn't get too close to her because he was scared that, what if, he accidentally crushed her bones? After practicing and collecting his thoughts, the next day, Chen went to buy a villa. A broker showed Chen the villa and told him that the main building is 560 square meters, with a 70 square meter front yard. There's also a 200 square meter backyard and an 80 square meter pool hall. The broker told Chen that the buyer had paid in full, including furniture worth over $1 million. The total price was $34 million. Chen offered $25 million, saying he would buy it in full. Just as he took out his phone to transfer the money, he suddenly got a call asking for help, saying they had seen a monster. The call then ended. Chen was surprised to hear that. Meanwhile, the two special agents were on the rooftop of a building, looking at the city. The man in black told the man in white that there had been no unusual activity since last night, and the corruptor was truly dead. But he thinks it's strange because that corruptor was in a semi-ethereal state. A being like that isn't something normal people could handle. He asked the man in white if they should stay and investigate, suggesting they might as well check out the city's bustle. But the man in white told him to use the time to train, otherwise when the apocalypse hits, he would just be cannon fodder. Surprised, the man in black asked the man in white what he meant by apocalypse. The man in white told him that their professor predicts the next spatial fluctuation will be 10 times stronger than 20 years ago. The most pressing matter at hand is to increase their capabilities across the board. In anticipation of that day, with a serious expression, the man in white said, "Only this way can we repay the country for nurturing us." Meanwhile, in the deep sea, Chen connected his mind with the sea iguana, and after searching, finally found something valuable. However, stirring up too much sand earlier had broken a lot of porcelain. Then, Chen went to get a coffee at a cafe. There, he looked up on the internet to check the prices of the things he found. Chen struck gold. He got a Song Dynasty piece worth at least a few million, maybe even tens of millions. Too bad his carelessness destroyed so much. Otherwise, they all could have been worth over 100 million. While he was checking the internet, suddenly he heard a commotion. A waitress was shouting at a black-hailed customer, asking him what he was grabbing. The customer argued with the waitress, telling her not to accuse him, but then he started smiling and said, "Miss, since you said I grabbed something, should I grab it for real?" Now, another customer sitting nearby asked the black-hailed man how he could be so shameless, as he saw it clearly. The black-hailed customer argued with him, saying, "So what if you did? If you're upset, try hitting me." The waitress got scared and tried to run away. Chen jumped up from his seat and told the black-hailed man that he had never met someone as arrogant as him. The black-hailed man laughed and said, "Now you've met me. If you're not happy, then try hitting me." The black-haired man challenged Chen, shouting, "Do you dare to come and hit me?" He laughed, calling Chen another hot-blooded youngster who only knows how to talk. This made Chen very angry. While walking towards the man, he asked the waitress if their store had surveillance cameras. Hearing Chen, the waitress understood what he meant and immediately disconnected the surveillance camera's power. After that, she told Chen that the cameras were broken. Chen smiled because now there would be no evidence. Seeing the waitress pull out the camera's power plug, the black-haired man got scared, realizing that he had messed up. Chen moved towards the black-haired man and slapped him so hard that with just one slap, the man fell to the ground and lost consciousness. After slapping the man, Chen smirked, saying, "In this day and age, someone actually wants to get beaten up. How ridiculous." Chen then left the coffee shop and returned to the warehouse. While lying on the sofa, he practiced his new lightning ability. After a few minutes, a system notification came telling Chen that his thunder control experience had increased by 10 and his mental strength by 1 point. While practicing, Chen thought to himself, "A human life, barely a century, is but a blink in the lifespan of a star, and one day I will break through the boundary of life and death." The next day, while leaving in his car, Chen asked his secretary to find some time to study accounting books, because she would have to handle the company's finances when the time comes. Chen added that he would pay her double. The secretary hesitated but accepted as her pay would double. Seeing Chen entering the car, she asked him where they were heading next. Chen told her that they were going to sell some stuff. After searching for a few minutes, they found a shop. The shop owner introduced himself as Gao, the owner of that antique shop. Chen pointed at the suitcase his secretary was holding and asked Mr. Gao if he could help them estimate how much this plate was worth. Mr. Gao asked both of them to come inside and discuss this upstairs. Chen opened his suitcase and showed Mr. Gao his ancient plate. While Mr. Gao was checking the plate, he found that it had the salty smell of seawater. He immediately realized that it was just salvaged. Hearing that, Mr. Gao said it was really a shame, and if it's just this one piece, he can only offer 4.5 million. Hearing the price, Chen closed the suitcase and told Mr. Gao that it was all right and he would think about it. Then, after a few hours of wandering around many shops, Chen and his secretary were standing on the street. The secretary, while drinking a coffee, told Chen that after visiting so many stores, Mr. Gao still seemed the most genuine. Chen, who was eating some snacks, said, "Well, he did make the highest offer. Maybe we should just sell it to him." But Chen felt that there was something off about the look in Mr. Gao's eyes. That guy was definitely hiding something. Sometime later, in a luxurious villa's living room, Mr. Gao went to meet his boss. The boss asked Gao if he was saying he had found a lead on the sunken ship he was searching for. Mr. Gao showed the plate that Chen sold him and asked his boss to look at the porcelain, which had the official seal they had been looking for. Mr. Gao told his boss that the porcelain was sold to him by a young man, so that young man must know more details. The boss told Gao to give the information to Fox, and within half an hour, he wanted everything on that young man. A few minutes later, Mr. Gao had all the information about Chen. Gao told his boss that this young man was an ordinary college student who suddenly spent 3 million to buy a luxury car and even went overseas with Li Tianrui. Gao asked his boss if they should still take action after seeing the people backing him. The yellow-haired boss, Du Hong, laughed and told Gao to take action. At the same time, while Chen was lying on his bed, he remembered Mr. Gao handing him a form and asking him to fill it out, saying they would need his details for future transactions or auctions. At that time, Chen filled out the form, but he still felt like today's deal went unusually smoothly. Chen couldn't shake the feeling that Boss Gao was hiding something. He hoped that nothing strange would happen. The next day, Chen was leaving his apartment and was in the elevator. His last night really was uneventful. He wondered if he was just overthinking it. He decided to forget it and just head straight to school to check things out. There was another matter Chen was curious about. After absorbing the sea python, his strength, muscle density, and everything else had reached 50-60 times that of a regular person. He wondered if he could withstand gunfire now. While Chen was thinking, the elevator arrived at the ground floor. But outside the elevator, a guy in a hoodie was waiting for Chen. Just as Chen came out of the elevator, the thug grabbed Chen from behind and told him not to move or make a sound. He asked Chen to come with him. The thug had a gun pointed at Chen's back, so Chen decided to go with the thug. The thug took Chen into a car where his other partner was waiting. The thugs kidnapped Chen and headed to their base. While Chen was in their car, he acted scared and asked the thugs where exactly they were taking him because he didn't recall ever offending them. The thug who was driving told Chen that they were taking him to meet someone and asked him not to try anything. The thugs took Chen to an abandoned warehouse where many other thugs and their boss were waiting for him. The thugs told their boss that they had brought the guy. Hearing that, the thug boss looked at Chen angrily, shouting, "Let me see what kind of guy kept me waiting all night." After seeing the thug boss's face, Chen's attitude shifted from scared to his original calm self. With a smile, he asked, "Why is it just you guys?" Seeing Chen like that, all the thugs became alert. The thugs who kidnapped him were confused because he had been so scared earlier, but now he was suddenly calm. Chen's calmness was unnerving. The thugs immediately realized that something was off. The thug boss shouted, asking his men what they were standing around for. He told them to grab their weapons. All the thugs pointed their guns at Chen. With lightning speed, Chen turned around and kicked the thug standing behind him. The thug's gun went flying, and Chen kicked him again in the face. Chen quickly grabbed the gun, and the thug fell to the ground and died in just one move. Seeing that, the thug boss gripped his gun tightly and asked Chen to put the gun down. The other thugs did the same and put some distance between themselves and Chen. Nervously, the thug boss said, "Kid, you've got one gun, but I've got two. And by the way, your gun only has one bullet. You're surrounded by us." Hearing that, Chen smiled and asked the thugs if they hadn't figured it out yet. It was actually them who were surrounded by him. Chen looked down on the thugs and asked, "Now, tell me, who's behind you?" "If you're honest, I'll make it quick for you." The thugs didn't agree with Chen and tried to get closer, so without any hesitation, Chen fired his last bullet, shooting the thug boss in the head and killing him instantly. Seeing that Chen was out of bullets, all the thugs shot at him, but Chen immediately threw his gun into the air and blocked the bullet using his internal energy to grab the bullet aimed at his body. Seeing this, the thugs' jaws dropped. They were all shocked and scared, thinking he was a monster. After catching the bullet, Chen himself was amazed at how powerful he had become. After that, Chen began a one-sided beating of the thugs, leaving only one alive to get information. He asked the surviving thug who had sent them after him. The dying thug told Chen that it was the director of Manhwa Group, Chang Du-hung, who also owned the shop on Guan Street and lived at Guanshan Villa, number 3. Just as the thug disclosed this, the thug boss's phone started ringing. Chen picked up the thug boss's phone and answered the call, saying, "You're Du-hong, right? I'm Chen Chu. See you tonight." Hearing Chen's warning, Mr. Gao got a little scared and told his boss Du-hong that Chen was dangerous. Boss Du-hong told Gao to get ready, saying, "Let's see if this kid dares to come here." Meanwhile, Chen, having Du-hong's address, ran all the way to Du-hong's house. Chen was so fast that even a car traveling at 120 meters per second could not match his speed. Meanwhile, security at Du-hong's villa increased, with many bodyguards with guns patrolling and guarding the entire villa, including 3 bodyguards in Du-hong's office. After waiting for a few hours, Gao asked, "Boss, do you think that Chen got cold feet?" Du-hong responded that Chen had single-handedly defeated 7 people who all had guns, indicating there was more to him than it seemed. However, Du-hong was not worried because he had a dozen gunmen and several dozen more loyal subordinates. Du-hong smiled and said it was time to put them to work. While they were talking, suddenly the whole villa's electricity was cut down, plunging it into pitch darkness. All the bodyguards panicked as they could not see anything. Guards beside Du-hong ordered the outside guards to activate backup power. Then they received a message that the main gate's CCTV was broken, followed by another message that even the front door's CCTV was broken. Du-hong started to get scared and ordered the bodyguards to shoot anyone who came in, no matter who they were. On the other hand, one by one, Chen took out all the bodyguards from the hallway and the garden. After that, he started banging on Du-hong's office door. The bodyguards inside the office aimed at the door and got ready to shoot. Chen broke down the office door and entered inside. Just as the door opened, Du-hong ordered the bodyguards to fire, but before they could even shoot, in the blink of an eye, Chen reached them and knocked down both of the bodyguards and then walked towards Du-hong. Seeing Chen move so fast, Du-hong asked if he was awakened. Scared, Du-hong told Chen that he would give him 500 million if Chen left them 2 alive. Chen smiled and told Du-hong it was a tempting offer, but he couldn't leave the 2 alive after killing everyone else. Chen asked them to talk about those who've awakened, saying if they told him, he would make their deaths painless. Du-hong was very angry, but understanding that he had no choice, he began telling Chen about awareness. He recounted that in 1999 at Tiger Mountain Town, he was fighting for territory with over a dozen brothers when suddenly a person covered in flames descended from the sky, turning the town into a sea of flames in the blink of an eye. When he went there the next day, that place was nothing but a huge lake, which the authorities called Sunken Lake. Hearing about that incident, Chen realized that awakened people are too powerful. He thought it was lucky that he wasn't making waves then. While Chen was lost in thought, Du-hong, who was hiding a gun underneath his table, tried to shoot Chen, but Chen moved to his right and dodged the bullet. In the next instant, Chen jumped over the table, kicked Goa in the face, and punched Du-hong, smashing his head on the ground. After killing both of them, Chen said, "Even if you're so rich, you're just an insect in my eyes. If you're within reach, you're as good as dead." After killing them, Chen burned Du-hong's villa. A few minutes later, the police arrived at Du-hong's villa and found it burnt to rubble. A policeman told the deputy chief that 31 bodies were found in total, one of which was the director of Manhwa Group. Looking at the villa, the deputy chief guessed that it was Chen as they had found Chen's information in Du-hong's phone. The deputy chief guessed that Chen should also be responsible for the deaths of the people in the Red Forest. Seeing the unusual movement of the underground, the deputy chief understood that the next attack was imminent, so he was planning to give Chen a chance, but he's just too cruel. He's forsaken the straight and narrow. On the other hand, when Chen returned to his warehouse, he saw that the chicken he had was gone, and there were oil marks. It didn't take him long to understand that the person who came here last night was extraordinary. Chen decided to wait for that person to return again. While waiting, he connected himself with the sea iguana. He hunted another fish-like creature, and after devouring it, he obtained 67 evolution points and 6 stat points. Chen found that there were many more fish like that deep into the sea, and decided to take a look. When he got 1,200 meters below the surface, he found a live volcano under the deep sea. But the pressure below 1,200 meters started getting a little difficult for Chen to withstand, so he returned. Then, the next day at the warehouse, while Chen was waiting, someone holding a shopping bag arrived at the warehouse. While hiding behind a wall, Chen watched the man. Chen was not going to let the man run away. When the man's back was facing Chen, he immediately charged at the man with full power and punched him. But when the smoke cleared, Chen was shocked to see that there was nothing at all and the man had disappeared. Chen started to wonder what power this was. A dimensional rift? A path into another world? What else could it be? While he was thinking, suddenly the ground underneath Chen turned blue. Immediately, a system notification came telling Chen that his body was being corrupted by polluted energy. Another notification came telling Chen that although his body was powerful enough to be immune, this resistance would be overcome after 5 hours. But Chen completely ignored the system notification because he was too excited to see the dimension connected to his warehouse. As soon as he entered this other dimension, he noticed a door and something standing outside. Before Chen could grasp what was happening, the figure outside suddenly lunged at him. It was a green-skinned humanoid monster with a squid-like head. Seeing it, even Chen was momentarily confused, wondering if it was a zombie or some other kind of creature. Just as the monster attempted to attack, Chen punched it in the face, shattering its head into pieces. A system notification appeared, informing Chen that he had killed a defective demon corpse and earned 2 stat points. After dealing with the monster, he turned his attention to the door. Above it, a signboard read, "Tiger Mountain Town welcomes you." Stepping through the door, Chen discovered an entire town behind it. As soon as he saw Tiger Mountain Town, he immediately remembered what Du Hong had told him, that the town had been mysteriously flattened into a lake overnight. It didn't take long for Chen to realize that this town hadn't been destroyed by humans. Instead, it had been pulled into another world. Sensing danger, Chen decided to return for now. As he made his way back to the door he had come through, an orange-haired little girl stood atop a massive tree, silently observing him. In her hands, she held the chicken that had been stolen from Chen's warehouse, hurriedly eating it. Meanwhile, as Chen returned, he used the 2 stat points he had gained from killing the monster to enhance his electric powers. Another system notification appeared, stating that his stat points had been used to strengthen his ability to control electricity. His experience had increased by 20 and his spirit by 2. Back in his world, Chen immediately searched for information about Tiger Mountain Town on the internet. He was shocked to discover that the town had sunk and over 30,000 people had vanished. The realization that such a vast number of people had disappeared stunned him. If they had all turned into monsters, he couldn't even begin to imagine how many stat points that would mean. Chen took out his phone and called Manager Lee, asking if he could investigate what had happened to the displaced residents of Tiger Mountain Town. Manager Lee agreed to look into it and promised to provide an update the next day. The following day, Chen visited the steel company, where he had previously ordered a massive pillar and dumbbells. This time, he requested a small steel house and a large decorative knife. The knife had to be 2 meters long, thick, durable, and razor-sharp. The manager was taken aback by the unusual request and explained that producing such a weapon might be difficult due to regulations. Chen laughed and asked, "Do you really think anyone would carry a 60-kilogram knife, run around, and cause chaos?" Left with no choice, the steel company manager reluctantly agreed to the request. Chen ordered the knife as a precaution. Since demon corpses were strange beings, he wondered if there was a risk of infection. While considering this, another thought struck him. Besides a knife and a steel house, he might as well get a set of armor. Without hesitation, he ordered that too. Later, Chen went to Hotel Haisien to meet with Manager Lee. Lee informed him that the information on Tiger Mountain Town survivors was conflicting. Official records claimed the matter had been settled, but when he investigated further, he found nothing. Hearing this, Chen realized that over 30,000 people had likely been buried as well. Shaken by this discovery, Chen drove home and connected with the sea iguana. That day, he caught over 40 mutated tiger-headed fish and devoured them all in one go. Even after that feast, he was still 300 evolution points short of his third evolution. The next day, Chen visited a villa he had been eyeing to purchase. The salesperson introduced him to the villa's owner, a young woman who complimented his choice, saying he had a good eye. But Chen wasted no time and immediately took out cash. "We can start discussing once you've inspected it," he said. The woman was stunned to see 20 million in cash laid out before her. After purchasing the villa, Chen returned to his warehouse, reconnected with the sea iguana, and resumed hunting. That day, he dove 1,500 meters beneath the surface and finally gathered the remaining 300 evolution points needed for his next evolution. A system notification appeared, informing Chen that he had reached the maximum evolution points for the next stage and asking if he wanted to evolve. Without hesitation, Chen selected yes. Deep in the ocean, the sea iguana's entire body became enveloped in internal energy as its evolution began. When the process was complete, Chen checked his internal energy levels. They had increased significantly. Now, Chen can hear the sound of ants moving food from 100 meters away, and 300 meters away, a patrolling security guard is complaining about his life. His strength and speed have doubled, yet he remains as nimble as ever. He has leveled up to Earth tier, with his constitution reaching 1,000 and his spirit 200. Suddenly, a system notification appeared, informing Chen that he now had two talents, affinity for water and electric fire breathing, which enhanced his ability to control electricity. Chen was surprised to see the electric fire breathing talent, but it didn't take him long to realize that it must have been a result of eating all those mutated tiger-headed fish. On the other hand, when Chen connected to his sea iguana, he was shocked to find that it had grown to 40 meters long. At this point, it was no longer just an overgrown lizard, it was as massive as Godzilla. Eager to test his new electric fire-breathing talent, Chen shot flames from his mouth but quickly discovered that his internal energy was too weak, making his electric fire only average in power. While wandering across the sea surface, Chen noticed a pair of eyes peering at him from a crack below. He immediately realized that there was a big guy lurking down there. Without hesitation, he dove inside and found a colossal fish, even bigger than his Godzilla-sized sea iguana. Wasting no time, Chen clamped his sharp claws around the giant fish's mouth. He thought to himself that once he devoured this creature, he might be able to snap an aircraft carrier in half with a single bite. Without giving the fish any chance to resist, Chen slashed through its head in one swift motion, killing it instantly. Upon consuming the tiger-headed fish, he gained over 2,000 evolution points, along with an abundance of fiery energy. Afterward, Chen entered a cave, which he soon realized had been the territory of the giant tiger-headed fish. As he explored, he suddenly stumbled upon something that completely shocked him. A skeleton of some kind of sea monster, 100 times bigger than his Godzilla-sized iguana. The beast had been slain and a massive metal nail was lodged deep into its skull. The sight was terrifying, filling Chen with an unnamed sense of fear. As he examined the enormous skeleton, he noticed something inside its skull, and the energy in his body instinctively surged toward it. Suddenly, a system notification appeared. "You have discovered an ancient factor. Would you like to absorb it?" Without hesitation, Chen immediately selected yes. He knew this was an opportunity to significantly increase his power. The moment he made his choice, his Godzilla-sized sea iguana was engulfed in immense energy. Another system notification followed. "You have absorbed an ancient factor and are now undergoing an extraordinary evolution. You have obtained the power of an ancient beast, Crimson Flame." Slowly, his Godzilla-like form began absorbing the energy of the Crimson Flame, and with each passing second, its power grew exponentially. Eager to test this newfound ability, Chen opened his mouth and unleashed a beam of Crimson Flame. The sheer intensity of the attack instantly obliterated an entire island. Chen was stunned by the terrifying display of power. With just one blast, an entire island had disappeared. A few days later, back at the warehouse, Chen's 2-meter-long sword and titanium alloy armor finally arrived. The sword, weighing 120 kilograms, was perfectly suited for Chen. He decided to name it the Heavenly Sword. Inspecting the titanium alloy armor, he found it sturdy and well-crafted, making it highly useful in combat. After equipping himself fully, Chen activated his detection technique. Since his recent evolution, he had gained the ability to sense other beings, and, using this skill, he finally discovered who had been stealing his food. To his surprise, it was a little girl. He wondered if she was one of Tiger Mountain Town's survivors with special powers, or if she was a monster in disguise. Determined to find out, Chen followed her, eventually entering the mysterious domain where Tiger Mountain Town now existed. Upon arriving, he was met with a horde of monsters, standing guard at the town's entrance. Seeing them, Chen thought to himself, "Looks like this place gets more lively at night." Without giving the monsters any chance to react, he leapt forward and with a single swing of his sword, decapitated one of them instantly. A system notification appeared. "You have killed a demon corpse and obtained 5 stat points." Without delay, Chen used the stat points to enhance his weapon, the Heavenly Sword. The system prompted him to choose an upgrade, offering several options: durability, sharpness armor, piercing ability, damage against monsters elemental strengthening, wind, fire, lightning, electricity, light. Chen allocated 3 points to durability and 2 points to sharpness. After confirming his choices, he swung his sword again to continue his monster hunt. Suddenly, an explosion of energy erupted, sending smoke billowing in all directions. From within the smoke, a huge monster with red glowing eyes emerged, charging straight at Chen. The creature was fast, catching Chen off guard, but not fast enough to escape him. With one swift strike, he killed the monster instantly. Instantly, it appeared general. Chen was now keen to educate himself completely on Demon Corpse and obtain 10 attribute points. Additionally, his armor had strengthened by 15 points, and he had gained a first-tier shock-deflecting ability up to immediately allocated 5 points to enhance his armor's resilience and used the remaining 5 points to increase his sword's sharpness. Just as he finished upgrading, he noticed something unusual. A horde of monsters was charging toward him. With lightning-fast reflexes, Chen moved in a blur, slicing through them with his sword. System notifications flooded his vision, informing him, "You have killed a second-tier violent demon corpse and gained 12 attribute points." Suddenly, Chen felt an ominous presence behind him. When he turned around, he saw a colossal monster, 10 times the size of a human, looming over him, ready to strike. Chen was momentarily surprised by the sheer size of the creature, but he remained calm. After all, he hadn't accumulated all these points for nothing. The giant monster threw a devastating punch with all its might. Chen responded in kind, delivering a punch of equal power. The iron fists collided, unleashing a powerful shockwave that blasted them both backward. Chen quickly assessed the situation. This monster was as strong as him, but it was far too slow, making the fight boring. Without hesitation, he leaped high into the air and with 2 precise strikes, killed the giant monster. A system notification appeared. "You have killed a 5th-tier armored demon corpse and gained 100 attribute points." Additionally, he discovered the demonic armor element and could now use 10 attribute points to absorb it. Chen smirked. No wonder this monster was so tough. It was actually 5th tier. Makes sense that I had to hit it over 10 times to bring it down. I still lack a one-hit knockout move. While he was deep in thought, a child's voice suddenly called out, urging others to run away. Chen followed the sound and soon spotted a familiar figure, a young girl with orange hair hiding under a table. He immediately recognized her. "She's the girl who stole my chicken, but she also just warned me to run. She doesn't seem hostile." As Chen approached, he noticed something written on her clothes. "You're Shi, right? I'm Chen Chu. From now on, you're my little sister, so I'll take care of you." Smiling, he added, "Let's go, Shi. I'll take you to the city and buy you some pretty clothes." Chan carried the little girl and left the mysterious dimension. As they drove back, Chan pointed at the dark lake that had formed where Tiger Mountain Town once stood. Shi, do you know what that dark lake is?" he asked. Shi, struggling to speak properly, managed to say, "It's the Black Tide. It's dangerous." Hearing that, Chan decided not to press further. Instead, he took her to a shopping mall and bought her many beautiful clothes. Afterward, they returned to his villa, where he gave Shishi food to eat. Seeing the meal, Shishi's face lit up with joy. She rushed over excitedly and began eating right away, then checked his status window. Level still the same. Physique 1000, mental control 200, acquired techniques. External Chi, beginner, Chi, sense, collapsing punch, beginner, sky step, intermediate, spring kick, intermediate acquired abilities, lightning mastery, beginner, crimson flame, beginner, points 80. Con, a scaled thorn lizard, evolved 3 times. And rake beast lord with ancient origins. Evolution value 2000. 400, next evolution requirement 1. 0,000 points. Examining his status, Chen reflected on his last battle. When I was fighting, my armor suppressed my internal energy. Even so, I managed to unleash an explosion of strength, a guaranteed kill. Determined to increase his defense, he allocated all 80 attribute points into strengthening his armor. Eradicating it, Chen removed his armor and tested his internal energy, only to be shocked by what he discovered. He had broken past the intermediate level. His strength was now at least 3 times greater than before. Meanwhile, at Ning University, a group of students had gathered for a meeting. A glasses-wearing student spoke up. "The place where we're training it sounds like it's at least lieutenant level." Another student corrected him. "No, it's second lieutenant level." A girl turned to the glasses-wearing student and asked, "Are you saying we've caught the attention of some secret department?" Before he could respond, another student burst into the room. "She's right," he said. "A special department has been established in the city. Once the training was over, successful participants would become lieutenants, but they would also face various dangers." The instructor then asked all the students if they wanted to join or withdraw. Without hesitation, the students answered in unison that they would join. Meanwhile, at the warehouse, Chen was training intensely. He threw a punch, and with a thunderous impact, a hole appeared in the iron. His outer shell concentrated the power of the crimson flame within him, then released it explosively. Chen decided that this would be his one-hit knockout, OHKO move. That punch must have at least 150 tons of force. I'll call it exterminating flame. After 100 punches, he stopped. "Pretty enough training. If I run into that demonic corpse again, 3 punches should do the job." Satisfied, Chen left and headed to Ning University's campus in his luxury car. At the same time, a girl from the group of students was leaving the campus. She noticed Chen and couldn't help but admire him. "Wow, he's really handsome." Her boyfriend, feeling jealous, scoffed. "That's an expensive car. He must have been born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Why do you care so much about him?" The glasses-wearing student interjected. "That guy saved Lin Royale from 4 kidnappers a month ago." Hearing this, the girl turned to him in surprise. "Really? He's that strong?" Her boyfriend's jealousy grew, and he mocked Chen. "There's no way that guy took down 4 kidnappers. Maybe they were just some desperate thugs, not real criminals." Ignoring all that, Chen arrived at his university's campus, where he played with Shishi, and playing they sat down at a table to enjoy some ice cream. As Shishi happily ate her ice cream, Chen connected with his Godzilla. The moment he linked up, he saw a submarine right in front of him. Using his detection technique, he scanned it. It's a yacht-sized submarine, and it's filled with bandits from Kangaroo Country. No wonder it's so small. This seemed like a perfect opportunity to test his strength inside the submarine. The sonar detected a large life form 100 meters below, rapidly approaching. Panic spread among the crew. "Something massive is heading straight for us." Before they could react, Chen's Godzilla slashed the outer hull with its sharp claws. The attack ripped through the submarine's 2 rear cabins, causing severe leaks. The sonar system was also destroyed. The captain barked orders. "Seal the valves, stop the flooding, activate the multi-beam bathymetry, set a course and scan our surroundings." A few minutes later, a crew member reported. "Captain, it's a massive creature, around 40 meters long, even bigger than a blue whale." The captain's eyes widened in shock. "Impossible. Even blue whales only grow up to 30 meters. How can something this huge exist?" He quickly issued new orders. "Close the rear hatches. Resurface immediately," another crew member shouted. "Captain, the flooding is critical and the monster is still attacking." The captain's expression darkened. "Fire the torpedoes. Maximize the turbines. We need to resurface now." As the torpedoes launched toward him, Chen made a quick decision. He turned and swam away at an astonishing 200 kilometers per hour. At this speed, the torpedoes couldn't catch him. But this was only the beginning of the show. Chen suddenly changed direction, looping back toward the submarine. The torpedoes followed. Unable to adjust their trajectory in time, Chen darted behind the submarine, using it as a shield. Before the bandits could react, the torpedoes slammed into their own submarine. Boom! A massive explosion rocked the ocean depths. Watching the blast, Chen realized something. If I took a direct hit from those, I'd definitely be injured. I still need to get even stronger. After finishing their ice cream, Chen and Shishi went to his university's evening party. There, a yellow-haired girl was performing a traditional dance. A man standing next to Chen admired her performance. She's one of the 4 most beautiful new students. She dances as gracefully as a bird. Then, after her dance, the yellow-haired girl greeted all the audience and was about to leave. But before that, a brown-haired boy who was holding a bouquet climbed onto the stage and approached her. He proposed to the yellow-haired girl named Qian, saying he had fallen in love with her at first sight and asked her to be his girlfriend. The yellow-haired girl was surprised by this sudden proposal. Before she could say something, the whole audience started shouting, asking the brown-haired boy what he was talking about. They told the boy they didn't have so much free time and asked him to get off the stage. Some angry people commented, telling the boy that doing this was way too old-fashioned and he should stop embarrassing himself. Seeing the support from her audience, Qian stood up for herself and told the brown-haired boy that her audience wouldn't let her say yes and she didn't like him anyway. After getting rejected, the boy got off the stage. A while later, when the whole program ended and Chen was returning home with CC, he was stopped by Chen asking him if he still remembered her. When Chen stopped him, people around were shocked to see that the school beauty was waiting for Chen. Chen ignored them and told Chen that last month he called the police and saved a girl who was drugged. Hearing that, Chen remembered that he did something like that, but he didn't remember that it was Qian. He asked Qian if there was an issue. Seeing that Chen didn't recognize her, Qian started thinking about what she should say. But Chen didn't wait for her and walked past her, telling her that if there's nothing, he would take his leave. He said goodbye to Qian and left from there. Seeing Chen leaving in his luxury car, Qian was surprised. She knew that car cost at least 2 million, and Chen was wearing new Gucci shoes which were at least 30,000. She understood that he was the spitting image of someone born with a silver spoon in their mouth, unlike the brown-haired boy. Later, after Chen returned to his warehouse and then entered a different dimension, he looked at a deep cave. Chen remembered that according to what Shiji said, the dark tide is coming and he had to find a cave because everything on this earth will disappear. The cave in front of Chen was 30 meters deep and 4 or 5 meters tall, so he thought that this would work. After that, Chen got back to his work and started killing the monsters. He killed 2 monsters. One was a second-tier mutated bone spear demon corpse. By killing it, he gained 20 attribute points. The second monster he killed was a third-tier mutated flaming demon corpse. With that, he gained 20 attribute points. Chen was surprised to see a demon corpse evolve the power to wield flame, and it was a little hot because Chen could feel it on his skin. He asked the system to increase his clothes' resistance to demon attacks. A system notification came telling Chen that he had used 10 attribute points. Now his armor had fused with materials from demons and had ascended to become extraordinary. Hearing that he got extraordinary demon armor, Chen tried touching the corpse of that flaming demon, and this time the flame didn't feel hot to Chen. Seeing that, Chen laughed because it had basically made him immune to normal flames. Chen then connected to his Godzilla, which was in the deep sea. By accessing Godzilla's memories, Chen found that the Pacific doesn't have many deep-water fish, and mutated fish are hard to find. Thinking this, he decided he might as well hunt for them in fish farms. Chen then went to a fish farm and caught 20+ large fish, which should suffice for half a day of food. After feeding Godzilla, Chen disconnected himself and resumed his hunt. While he was hunting, suddenly a monster attacked him, which Chen hadn't sensed approaching. Chen was shocked by the monster's speed because it broke the sound barrier. Chen used his sword to defend against the monster's attack. Just as Chen blocked that attack, the monster immediately jumped high to attack again, calling Chen new meat. This monster had huge spikes on its hand, which it used as a sword. Chen was surprised by this demon corpse's sword skills. It was surprisingly nimble. However, observing the monster's movements closely, Chen discovered that when the monster holds a blade, its arm shakes twice, and the sword's trajectory changes. Understanding the monster's weakness, Chen got ready to end this. Chen jumped at the monster while swinging his body so that the monster could not block it. But the monster had a trick up its sleeve. It had a second head hidden in its stomach. When Chen got near, the monster's second head shot flames at Chen, but Chen was fast and blocked the monster's flames with his sword. Chen used his exterminating flame skill with his sword to subdue the flames. The monster's second head was shocked seeing Chen do that. Chen didn't give the monster a chance to do anything else and used his longsword to cut it into 2 pieces. A system notification came telling Chen that he had killed a 5th-tier burning flame demon corpse and gained 100 attribute points. Then another notification popped up, saying a fusion core element had been discovered, and Chen could spend 10 attribute points to extract it. Chen was confused about what the fusion core element was, but he decided to extract it. Immediately, a head-like parasite appeared on Chen's sword. The system told Chen that his weapon, Heavenly Sword, had melded with demonic materials and had ascended to become extraordinary. After obtaining this fusion core element, Chen immediately tested it. His sword engorged with flames, and when Chen swung it, it sent a very powerful fire strike combined with lightning. Seeing this, Chen was very happy, because now he could combine the power of flame and lightning to make a blast of energy from his sword. Sometime later, while exploring on the other side of town, Chen saw a huge monster with 8 legs roaming around. Amazed, Chen observed a demon corpse that had mutated to look like a spider. However, Chen didn't attack the monster because the forest was so quiet it became uncanny. Chen decided to return first. When Chen returned to his warehouse through his dimension portal, he was welcomed by little Shiji. She greeted Chen and said, "Big brother, Chen, I will close the door for you." Chen was surprised to hear that Shishi could close a formless door, meaning she has power over space and is more mysterious than he had thought. Chen thought closing the door was good, at least it would prevent remaining demon corpses from coming out when he was not there. While Chen was contemplating this, suddenly a system notification appeared telling him that it had been detected he could increase his storage space. 10 attribute points would equal 1 square meter of storage space. The system asked Chen if he would like to use it. Chen immediately agreed because that was just what he needed. He was just about to complain that carrying his sword and armor around was becoming inconvenient when the system offered him additional storage space. Chen then connected to his Godzilla. He was surprised to find that in just 3 hours, its body had grown 5 or 6 meters, and it had gained over 500 evolution points. From his Godzilla's memories, Chen found out that human-farmed fish taste good, just as he expected. On the other hand, above the sea at the fish farm, workers noticed some fish coming to the surface. A worker asked his senior to look over there and see what had happened to that tuna. His senior said it was strange because they had enough oxygen. But when he looked closely, they saw that the fish were half-eaten. Realizing something had happened to the tuna, the fish farm workers were shocked. Before they could do or check anything, Chen's Godzilla hit their ship with its huge tail and destroyed it. Later at the villa, Chen reviewed his stats and found that he had over 100 attribute points left. He decided to level up everything. He used 40 attribute points and strengthened his chi sense, gaining 400 experience and breaking through to the intermediate tier. He then used 60 attribute points and strengthened his spring kick, gaining 600 experience and breaking through to moon step. After that, Chen jumped high to test his new power. His chi sense had increased from 100 meters to 500 meters, and moonstep allowed him to stay in the air for a while. A few days later, while Chen was cutting Cizi's hair, it was reported on the news that a surprising black fog had appeared in the city, covering 100 kilometers and causing the disappearance of over 50 people. When Chen heard about the black fog, he immediately remembered that it was similar to Tiger Mountain Town's black tide. It seemed to Chen that the world's peace wouldn't last much longer. Meanwhile, at the sea of Aoding Island, a submarine was traveling to an underwater laboratory. Inside the submarine, there were awakened beastmen. One of them asked a man controlling the submarine, named Shan, how Professor Kant's research was progressing. Shan told the beast man that the professor had retrieved a special substance from the giant beast's body and even found the method by which the beast heals itself. Hearing about the extraordinary substance, the beast man became excited, saying they could now create extraordinary humans. Shan told the beast man that they would also be able to control even the largest beasts. The submarine arrived at an underwater cave system filled with huge crystals. Shan informed Professor Kant that the miniature nuclear plant had been brought here and it had almost reached its destination. Professor Kant and Shan went to the laboratory, where there was a huge beast, almost the size of Chan's Godzilla, placed in a huge tube with a huge sword piercing its stomach. Some men then took the miniature nuclear plant and connected it to the beast's test tube. After the installation was complete, they connected the core's power supply. After that, when the professor looked at the test tube, he smiled, because the core's power had entered the beast's body, and the beast had recovered. Professor Kang had installed a metal collar on the beast's neck, and this beast was smart enough to know that the metal collar could kill it, so it should now follow instructions. Shan praised Professor Kant, saying he was even smarter than Einstein. While they were talking, suddenly the huge beast moved its head and started stirring. Seeing this, Professor Kant jumped in happiness because his decades of hard work had paid off and the beast was finally waking up. Shan and Professor Kant were celebrating their success, not knowing that another beast was watching them. It was Chen's Godzilla, who had followed the submarine and found their location. Seeing that these fellows were trying to resuscitate a giant beast, Chen decided that they should die. He didn't give the beast time to fully wake up and charged in. He destroyed a wall of the cave and entered. Seeing another beast, everyone panicked. Professor Kant ordered his men to block it or they would all die. Their security came first to attack. Seeing Chen's Godzilla, Professor Kant told Shan to go to the submarine. Meanwhile, the guards started shooting at Godzilla. One guard threw a fire extinguisher at Godzilla and shot it, making it explode right in front of Godzilla's face. They continued targeting Godzilla's face and shot it with explosives. While Godzilla was distracted, Shan and Professor Kant ran away from there. After throwing a fire extinguisher at Godzilla, the guards stopped to check on Godzilla. But to their surprise, when the smoke cleared, Godzilla came out unharmed. The guards were shocked because they used a 24mm armor-piercing round and an exploding bullet, weapons typically used in civil wars, but all that could not even scratch Godzilla. Immediately, an awakened man jumped towards Godzilla and used his Thunder Spear technique to attack it. Seeing that this was all humans could do against his Godzilla, Chen decided to end things now. He used his ultrasonic roar and threw flames from his mouth, sending the awakened man flying. While Godzilla was destroying and killing the guards, Professor Kent and Shan tried to sneak out in their submarine, but Chen noticed them running away. He shot a fire blast from his mouth and destroyed their submarine before they could escape. While Chen was killing them, the huge beast in the cave started to wake up fully and opened its mouth. Chen was surprised to see that it had really been resuscitated. Chen felt a very terrifying aura coming out of the beast. Chen decided to stay away and then kill it. He shot a fire blast at the beast from his mouth. His fire shot hit and exploded, making the beast scream. "I've just woken up, I'm not strong enough, don't kill me!" But before the beast could complete its words, its body exploded and it died. A system notification came telling Chen that he had discovered a damaged ancient relic. The system asked if he wanted to absorb it. Chen was confused about what the system meant by damaged, but looking at the beast's body pieces, he didn't think much of it and decided to absorb it. After that, Chen disconnected from Godzilla and went to a restaurant to eat with Shi. While they were eating, Chen got a system notification telling him that his clone had rested and gained 5 evolution points and 0.5 physique. These notifications came again and again. Chen was surprised to find that he could get stronger just from resting after absorbing the damaged relic. While Chen was busy, Shi was cleaning her plates because the food was too yummy. During this, Chen's phone received a message. When Chen checked his phone, he saw a message from Chien Qian asking, "Senior Chen, are you free tomorrow? Let's have lunch together." Chen replied to her saying, "Sure, I will pick you up at 11. Then, after the meal, Chen again went to the other dimension through the teleportation door. There, he fought a flying insect-like monster that was striking Chen with its strong wings. Chen dodged the monster's attack, but was amazed to see that the monster's wings were so sharp that they could probably rip even a tank to shreds. Chen then jumped high and cut the monster into two with his sword. The system notified Chen that he had killed a 4th-tier demonic creature and gained 50 attribute points. Chen was slightly surprised to see that notification because he thought this monster should be 5th tier at least. After that, Chen moved to a different location. While going, he activated his super sense and sensed something ahead. When he arrived there, he encountered a worm-like monster with many spikes in its mouth. That monster slammed into Chen, pushing him back quite a bit. Chen used his sword to defend, but the monster's attack damaged Chen's extraordinary tier armor. Chen added 50 attribute points for strengthening his armor, and then charged at that monster again. He jumped high, destroying the ground, and swung his sword at the monster. But when he attacked using his fire, his attack bounced back due to a protective barrier around that monster. Chen was surprised to see that this monster had an energy wall. He then decided to get a little serious. Using his exterminating flame, he cut the monster into pieces. The monster's barrier broke like glass. A system notification came telling him that he had killed a 6th-tier demonic creature and gained 200 attribute points. Chen immediately used 100 points to strengthen his external peak and 100 points to strengthen his crimson flame. With that, the temperature of his flames increased from 3,000 to 10,000 degrees, and his attack's distance also increased to 30 meters. He swung his sword and cut down a flying monster in two. Chen laughed, seeing that he could take out one dragonfly with each strike. Chen then returned home and checked his status window. Currently, Chen Chu is at the Earth tier, and his power has exceeded extraordinarily powerful individuals. His physique is 1,752, mental spirit is 254, and he has external ki and ki sense techniques both at intermediate level. He has collapsing punch skill at beginner, sky step skill at intermediate, and spring kick skill at advanced. He has lightning mastery and crimson flame abilities. Currently, he has 280 attribute points and a 2 cubic meters inventory. In weapons, he has the Heavenly Sword and Demonic Emperor armor. His clone is Scaled Thorn Godzilla and a 3 times evolved Beast Lord that has ancient origins. It has 7,500 evolution value and needs 1,000,000 to evolve again. Looking at his status window, Chen said, "External Chi increases my power. I've got Exterminating Flame for my one-hit knockout move, Crimson Flame for my long-distance move, and Ki Sense for my senses and various demon-repelling demon armors and weapons. His flame control is also very good now." He then decided to train up Collapsing Punch, Sky Step, and his control over electricity and lightning. The next day in the evening, Chen went to pick up Chen Chen. She arrived and asked Chen what they should eat, stating that it was her treat. Chen suggested having seafood. While they were talking, some classmates of Chen Chen were watching them. One girl asked another if that wasn't the school beauty, Chen Chen. With an annoyed expression, the other girl said, "Looks like even she couldn't resist the allure of a fancy car. When did Ning University's atmosphere become this bad?" With his super hearing, Chen heard them but ignored them and went to a fancy restaurant. At the restaurant, Chen checked the menu and saw that wild-caught flower dragon was 4,000 and 2 oysters from Country F were 10,000. Hearing about the prices, Kian calculated and found that it was over 70,000. She got worried because she only had 10,000 in her account, which was 3 months of her living expenses and allowance. She hesitated but told Chen that she only brought 10,000. She asked him to lend her some, saying she would pay him back. Chen told her that there was no need, he had covered the bill, so she should enjoy her food. Hearing that, Qian Chen became very happy and asked Chen if he owned a seafood company, because she had heard that he didn't come to school often. That must be because he was busy with his job. She praised Chen, saying businessmen have such an aura about them. Chen smiled and told her that wasn't necessarily the case. He didn't go to school because he was busy slaying monsters and leveling up. He had no time to manage a company. Hearing about killing monsters and leveling up, Qin Chen wondered if that was a game. While they were talking, suddenly a waitress came with a huge crab for them to eat. Qian was amazed to see the huge crab, but looking at the crab, Chen got lost in thought. He pondered whether, if the apocalypse came, he would still be able to enjoy such luxuries. After dinner, Chen went to a luxury goods store to do some shopping with Qian Qian. While Chen was busy shopping, Qianqian felt embarrassed looking at the prices because Chen had said he wanted to go shopping after eating. However, she didn't expect him to shop at Louis Vuitton, spending $80,000 for a meal and dropping $20,000 or $30,000 more on clothes after that. She couldn't even buy one of Chen's buttons with her living allowance of $2,000 a month. Chen grabbed Qianyan's hand, asking her to let him buy her some clothes. Qianyan was surprised when Chen suddenly grabbed her hand, wondering if he thought she was easy, but Chen didn't give her any chance to say anything. Everything Qianyan said she liked, Chen bought. He bought tens of items and handed over his card to the cashier. When the cashier saw Chen, she immediately recognized him. Looking at Qian, the cashier thought that the girl Chen had been with previously was really pretty, but now he had found someone even prettier within a month. She thought he was a playboy. Meanwhile, seeing that Chen bought her $30,000 worth of clothes, and it was only their first time meeting, Qian wondered if this was what it meant to spend money like water. She looked at Chen, thinking that he wasn't going to bring her to a hotel next, was he? She was confused, wondering what she should do. At the same time, not far from them at a nearby gym, a portal to another dimension suddenly opened up, and a corrupt demon emerged, attacking the people in the gym. Chen, who always scans his surroundings for danger, sensed the incident. Without delay, he told Qianqian that he had some urgent matters to take care of, so he would send her back to school now. Hearing this, Qianqian wondered if he didn't have any intentions or if he was taking things slow. However, she dismissed her thoughts, thinking she was just overthinking it. After sending her back to school, Chen headed towards the gym, feeling that a tear in space had occurred nearby and that something was off. A little later, he arrived at the gym, which was completely empty, except for a dark aura and some bloodstains. Seeing that this was the real world, yet a polluting aura had appeared, Chen understood that his suspicions were correct. He then used his senses to fight the corrupted demon in an alleyway. When the corrupted demon saw that Chen had noticed him, he jumped to attack, shouting, "Die, human!" But Chen didn't give the corrupted demon a chance to strike. He kicked the demon in the face using his lightning, destroying the demon's face. A system notification appeared, telling Chen that he had killed a low-level polluted monster and gained 5 attribute points. Seeing the notification, Chen understood that it was just a polluted monster and not a demonic one, unlike the dark elf from before. A few hours later, the police arrived at the scene and found the polluted monster's destroyed body. The police deputy chief was there with senior students from Chen's university who had been selected to form a team to fight against the upcoming apocalypse. The deputy chief told the students that he wanted to use this polluted individual to see if their hard work had paid off, but it turned out someone had killed it before they could. He told the students that, based on the condition of the monster's corpse, the one who killed it appeared to be a superpowered individual who could control flames. The deputy chief was confused, wondering when someone with control over flames had appeared in N City. Later, when Chen was at home, he saw on the news that an immense number of tears in space had appeared in their world that day. Unfortunately, it seemed the apocalypse was coming. Seeing the news, Chen realized that the 99-year apocalypse was here. In the past 20 years, over 500,000 citizens had died on the battlefield, paying for humanity's 20 years of peace with their blood. Now, they had entered an era that belonged to the extraordinary people, where anyone could become an extraordinary person. Chen sent the information regarding the apocalypse to his grandfather to ensure his safety, but he knew it wasn't comprehensive enough. To get more information, he would have to report to the Special City Bureau. Before going there, Chen connected with his Godzilla, which was deep in the sea. There, the Godzilla encountered a giant whale. Chen immediately attacked the whale with his head. The giant whale was surprised by the fight but then pushed back the Godzilla, shooting dark blue water at it and swimming away. That dark blue water formed a bubble around the Godzilla. Once inside, the Godzilla felt immense pressure. He was surprised to find that the giant whale could turn seawater into heavy water. However, this was useless against the Godzilla's tough body shell. Chen didn't give the whale any chance to escape and shot it down with his crimson flame. Looking at the giant whale's corpse, Chen thought that once he ate it, he would get at least 10,000 evolution points. Meanwhile, at a branch office of the Special City Bureau, all the chosen students were gathered for a discussion. A guy told the others that whoever killed the polluted monster yesterday was very impressive, better than any of them. The others agreed, saying it must have been a normal citizen who had awakened powers over flames. Qianchen was also there, wondering if it could be Chen, because based on what he did that day, she didn't think she could do that, even now. While the students were talking, the deputy chief suddenly entered the room in a hurry and told them that someone had logged an evolved individual in the afternoon. He asked the students if they wanted to take a look. All the students raised their hands, eager to see. They all went to the testing area, where, in the testing booth, Chen was getting ready to take the test. When they saw Chen, a girl immediately recognized him and told the others that he was the one who had been driving a luxury car at school. Qian was very happy to see that it really was Chen. However, the deputy chief was not pleased to see him, remembering what Chen had done to the gangsters who were after him. He then walked up to Chen, and while showing him the testing equipment, he told Chen that registering his evolution meant he would have to take a test. It would measure his power and speed, and he asked Chen if that was okay. Chen told him it was no problem. The deputy chief pointed to a punching machine and explained that they would use it to test him. It could display up to 500 kg of force. He asked Chen to hit it with all his might when he said so. While they were talking, a senior student asked another student named Old Li how strong he thought Chen was and how many stars he would get. Old Li told the first student that since Chen killed a polluted monster last night, he was certainly stronger than them, maybe even a 3-star. Another girl said she thought Chen would get 4 stars. Hearing her, a guy explained that it would mean Chen needed to use 5,000 kg of force in one punch. Another guy said that Chen seemed to have a lot of confidence and might even break the testing equipment. Hearing this, another student laughed and said, "What a joke. Our captain is an evolved individual with 5 stars, and he's only at 10,000? But to everyone's surprise, when Chen hit the punching machine, he scored 200 kilograms. All the senior students were shocked to see that Chen was really 5 stars, and a strong one at that. Meanwhile, Chen was a little disappointed because he had overshot. He had used too much power, and now it would attract attention. After Chen reached the standard for 5 stars, the deputy chief told him that he could collect 50,000 yuan at the Special City Bureau every month. If he was willing to join them, he would be paid much more, promoted to vice head, and given a title. He asked how that sounded. However, Chen immediately turned him down, saying he was used to flying solo. The deputy chief said, "Okay," and then asked Chen if it was him who had killed the polluted monster yesterday. Chen confirmed that he had. Hearing that, the deputy chief realized that Chen had power over flames too. He told Chen that his power was very strong, on par with those awakened individuals he had seen back in the day. With his talent, he might even be taken on by the fighting god Jiang as a disciple if he joined the bureau. Hearing about the fighting god Jiang, Chen understood that he was considered the ceiling of human potential. The offer was a little tempting, but Chen thought about the fact that his giant lizard had to remain a secret, and he had other ways to get stronger. So he immediately said no to the deputy chief, saying he appreciated the offer. Later, there was an announcement from N-City's Special City Bureau congratulating N-City for having its first registered evolved individual named Chen Chu, a 21-year-old male with evolution level 5 and extraordinary strength as a blood-colored flame user. His current ranking among all evolved civilians was first. Upon hearing the announcement, people started commenting in shock. One guy commented, "A 5-star evolved individual is too OP." Another guy commented that other places have 3 stars as their max, but N-City is the best. A student from Chen's university commented, telling others that he is the male god Chen Chu from their school. After seeing the announcement, Manager Li called Chen, saying, "Brother, you're a 5-star evolved individual and ranked first. Take care of me in the future." Chen laughed and told him not to worry. Chen was getting hundreds of calls and messages, even from classmates he hadn't seen in years, all calling to congratulate him. After receiving so many calls, Chen laughed, wondering if this was what it feels like to be a god among men. Chen was happy because after eating that giant whale, the giant lizard was now 90 meters long, and Chen's physique had increased by 1,800 points. His strength had also increased from 29 tons to 70 tons. Now with his outer covering, he could withstand an armor-piercing round. If compared to other evolved individuals, he was at least level 7 or 8. Chen had previously thought that a 7-star rating should be the max any awakened individual could achieve, but there was still a clear gap in power between that and the 10-star fighting gods. He was worried, thinking that in a peaceful world, even if his power increased every day, without an equally strong opponent there would be an unspeakable sense of emptiness. But everything was different now. The apocalypse had come, and horrifying monsters had stepped through space-time and into his reality. He was very happy because now countless powerful awakened individuals, evolved individuals, and gods of war would all step onto the stage. Chen was confident that, at the rate he was growing, he would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with those gods before long. But he wasn't going to stop there. He was determined to surpass them and become an even more powerful being. While he was thinking all that, suddenly he received messages on his phone. When he checked, he saw some messages in his office group chat. The first message was from Len Ye, Chen's secretary. While sending a surprised emoji, she asked Chen if he was an evolved individual. Lin, the girl from the front desk, replied to Lin Yu that their boss had long passed the awakened stage and was now a 5-star individual. Hui Hui, their IT technician, praised Chen, saying he was amazing. Chen acted modestly and sent a message telling everyone that it's nothing and they will all get there eventually, it's just that he was a few days ahead. Lin messaged again, saying she wanted to become awakened like her boss. She was determined, saying it'd be amazing if she could evolve into an angel so she could grow beautiful wings. Leng Ye, with a disdainful expression, replied to Lin that she couldn't control what she evolved into, so she might become a toad instead. Angrily, Lin told Leng Ye to shut up. Seeing them fighting like children, Chen laughed and then wrote again, saying, "No slacking on the job." All three of the girls replied with, "Okay, boss," and then got back to their work. The next day, Chen went to his warehouse at the docks. He summoned his equipment from his inventory and got equipped in his full-body armor. Shishi was also there. Chen asked Shishi to let's return. Hearing Chen, Shishi created the other dimension's door. She opened the door and told Chen he could go in. While going inside, Chen asked Gigi to wait here and not move as he would go and take a look. Just as Chen stepped inside, the whole environment changed completely. The smell he sensed inside made him understand immediately that something was off. In front of him was a completely new dimension full of flames and magma. Seeing that, Chen wondered if this door brought them to a new place every time they opened it. Looking at CC behind the door, Chen understood that if they wanted to be sure of the world that lay behind that door, she'd have to keep it open. But he was worried. If they did that, what if an even more terrifying monster learned of the door's existence? Chen remembered the blue-eyed monster that had been chasing him that day. It could have deduced the location of the door from where Chen vanished and sent the sausage monster over to chase him. But once the door closed, it brought Chen to another location when he opened it again, so he would have to explore that location again. Chen smiled, knowing that it was a completely randomly generated world. With excitement, Chen declared, "It's not bad either." But just as he was thinking that, suddenly a system notification appeared, telling Chen that the extremely high temperatures here would kill most living beings in seconds. Suddenly, a very warm wind blew toward him, but Chen's crimson flames could offset the burning effect of the high temperatures. Seeing the wind, Chen smiled because the warm breeze even felt kind of refreshing to him. But suddenly, a system notification appeared, telling Chen that his body was being affected by the polluting substances here. His body's immunity had temporarily blocked the effects of the polluted substances, but his resistance would only last for 15 hours. Chen was surprised to see the notification. He understood that no matter how resilient his body was, it seemed that it couldn't completely resist the effects of this pollution. However, Chen felt a little jealous because, after feeling the heat, he now knew that those awakened individuals and war gods would be completely unaffected. They really were insanely powerful. Chen was a little sad but didn't dwell on it for long, as he had no time to lose. He needed to see what this world had to offer. He activated his senses and began scanning the area around him. He could scan a kilometer of the area in one go, and he kept scanning for quite a while, but to his surprise, he didn't find a single trace of life or any monsters. This place was completely barren. Disappointed, Chen said, "It's no surprise such a hellish environment wouldn't be conducive to life in the first place." He was about to tell Zhaixi to open another door when, little did he know, a monster covered in flames suddenly appeared from the magma behind him. When that monster got near, Chen felt its presence and immediately turned around. He spun around with super speed and swung his sword at the fire monster. Chen's sword cut the monster's body in two, but it didn't die and joined its body back together again. The monster then looked at Chen and smiled. This monster was a poisonous smoke monster with a difficulty level of 3. Chen was a little surprised seeing that monster because he hadn't even noticed it was behind him just moments ago. He realized that this world had something to it. The fire monster immediately charged at Chen with full speed, but when it tried to hit him, its attack was blocked by Chen's crimson flames, which formed a protective barrier around him. The monster immediately backed off. Seeing this, Chen realized that it wasn't his senses that had failed to pick up on the monster. It was because the monster was not alive at all. After understanding that the monster was just a spirit, Chen prepared to use his thunder attack, saying, "Since this is a filthy monster, I'll have to use the evil spirit-repelling thunder to disperse it." Chen activated his evil spirit-repelling thunder just as he saw the fire monster approaching. The creature paused, confused by Chen's use of thunder. Without hesitation, Chen gathered lightning in his hands and formed an electric arrow. Channeling all his power, he shot the arrow directly at the fire monster. Before the creature could dodge or escape, Chen's electric arrow struck it, piercing its body and creating a massive hole in its stomach. The fire monster screamed in pain as its flames began to fade, revealing only a skeletal figure. Eventually, just a skull remained, rolling lifelessly on the ground. A system notification informed Chen that he had killed a third-tier strange monster and earned 20 stat points. Upon learning that the creature was only third tier, Chen found it odd. It had seemed far more powerful, especially with its special ability that rendered physical attacks useless. Even Chen's fire attacks had no effect, likely because the monster was born in lava. Given all this, how could it be only third tier? Chen figured he must have been lucky to possess the right abilities to counter the creature. Without them, the battle would have been extremely difficult. While Chen was still thinking about this, Zizi suddenly appeared. Chen sensed her presence and turned around, shocked to see her. Rushing over, he asked why she had come inside when he'd specifically told her to wait outside the door, a place far safer than here. Struggling to speak properly, Zizi managed to say that she was worried about him because of the danger. Chen was momentarily speechless. He knew her intentions were good, but she wasn't safe outside either. Gently patting her head, he told her to stay far behind him and not to move closer under any circumstances. But as his hand touched Zizi's head, she vanished like an illusion. Surprised, Chen suddenly heard a noise from behind him. Activating his senses, he scanned the surroundings, trying to locate the source of the sound. Before he could pinpoint it, the rock he was standing on crumbled beneath him, releasing streams of magma. Shocked, Chen immediately leapt to safety, jumping from one rock to another. While navigating the unstable terrain, he spotted the highest point in the area, a massive rock pillar. He climbed toward it and, upon reaching the top, discovered that several similar rock pillars were chained together in a circle. Upon closer inspection, he noticed magical runes engraved on them. Seeing the structure, Chen smiled wryly. While it resembled a building, it seemed more like a seal or prison, something designed to conceal a powerful presence. As Chen suspected, a monster had been hiding within the seal. Walking toward the concealed creature, Chen said, "So the real treasure hidden in this world was you all along." The imprisoned monster was Vandenfeld, fiery wings, a true dragon. Chen didn't even want to imagine the kind of stats a dragon like that would have. Seeing that Chen had discovered him, the dragon stood up and roared, "Foolish human, you dare challenge me without a care for your life? How laughable!" Trying to assert his dominance, the dragon sneered, "This is my domain, and you are nothing more than an intruder. Since you've come before me, I'll be merciful and offer you two choices. First, I can bury you here, and there won't even be ashes left for anyone to mourn. Second, I'll gladly accept a new servant. All you need to do is kneel and recognize the power of Vandenfeld." Hearing the dragon's words, Chen smiled and replied, "I don't want anything to do with you, but I am interested in dragon bones." With that, Chen began walking toward the dragon. Hearing Chen's bold words, the dragon became furious and roared, "How dare a mere human be so arrogant before me?" Raising his wings in anger, the dragon's fury intensified the flow of the magma river. As the molten currents surged, hundreds of fire monsters emerged from the lava and surrounded Chen. Seeing the creatures obeying the dragon's command, Chen smiled to himself. Earlier, he'd thought the poisonous smoke monsters were impressive. How foolish. They were nothing more than puppets. Suddenly, a thought struck Chen. He asked the dragon, "Could turning into those monsters be the consequence of agreeing to be your servant?" The dragon's rage flared even stronger. "Enough," he roared. "Kill him! Drag his corpse into the lava!" Following the dragon's order, the fire monsters charged at Chen from all directions. Chen, unfazed, smiled and then moved faster than lightning. In the blink of an eye, he dashed toward the monsters, striking each one with his thunder punch. One by one, their bodies were destroyed, reduced to nothing. The dragon could barely follow Chen's movement. Shocked, he demanded, "What just happened? How did my servants vanish in an instant?" Arrogantly, Chen walked toward the dragon and sneered. "Now that I think about it, having a black dragon as a pet does sound interesting." Hearing his provocation, the dragon's expression darkened. His eyes glowed red with rage as he glared at Chen. But Chen wasn't intimidated. Smirking, he said, "How about you become my servant instead?" Chen's taunt pushed the dragon beyond his limits. Roaring furiously, the dragon smashed the ground, causing the earth beneath Chen's feet to crack. Streams of magma surged upward, but Chen wasn't going down that easily. He swiftly drew his flame sword, preparing to strike. When the dragon lunged at him, Chen steadied his footing and grinned. "I'll cut you down," he declared. With that, Chen swung his sword with full power, aiming at the dragon's neck. The dragon tried to dodge, but the chains around its neck restrained its movement. As a result, Chen's sword strike grazed the dragon's neck, leaving a shallow cut. Yellow blood began to drip from the wound, enraging the dragon even more. Its eyes turned bright red as it rose onto its hind legs and roared, "Human, watch me send you to hell!" The dragon inhaled deeply, drawing in air, and with full power unleashed its Hell Dragon Flame attack. A powerful torrent of fire aimed directly at Chen. Seeing the incoming flames, Chen immediately raised his sword and activated his red flame body skill. A protective barrier surrounded him, shielding him from the dragon's fiery breath. Once the flame subsided, Chen grinned and mocked the dragon. "Is that the power you're so proud of?" The dragon, enraged, inhaled flames from the magma and glared at Chen with bloodthirsty eyes. "Human turned to ashes," he growled. With those words, the dragon unleashed an even more powerful flame beam, far stronger than before. Confident, the dragon stopped his attack and sneered. "No one can survive my Hell Dragon Flame for even a second." Convinced that Chen had perished, the dragon turned away. But suddenly a shadow appeared in the smoke, Chen's shadow. Chen emerged from the smoke, completely unscathed, and mocked the dragon again. "I thought you'd be powerful, but it turns out you're only slightly better than an oversized hair dryer." The dragon was stunned to see Chen unharmed, even after being hit by its Hell Dragon Flame. Enraged, it tried to shoot flames again, but Chen didn't give it the chance. Using his lightning speed, Chen leaped toward the dragon and delivered a powerful kick to its mouth. The dragon's flames backfired, igniting inside its own mouth and triggering a massive explosion. Mid-air, Chen swung his sword to dodge the burst of fire and landed gracefully on the ground. "I have the extraordinary power of fire," Chen declared confidently. "And thanks to the energy stance of my Emperor Demon armor, my defense against fire is nearly maxed out. Your dragon breath barely affects me now." The dragon's eyes widened in shock. It couldn't believe Chen had the ability to resist its flames. Climbing out of the magma, the dragon growled, "Now you're starting to interest me." But it was all an act. The moment Chen stepped into range, the dragon lunged at him, roaring, "So what if you have fire immunity? I'll tear you to pieces with my teeth." The dragon snapped its jaws at Chen, but it didn't know that Chen could move like lightning. Swiftly dodging the attack, Chen leapt high into the air, gaining enough momentum to strike. He landed on the dragon's neck and drove his flame sword into its back. But Chen wasn't done yet. Grabbing his sword with both hands, he sprinted along the dragon's spine, cutting deeply as he moved. However, just as he was slicing through, his sword struck something hard, something tough buried inside the dragon's back. Chen paused, surprised and confused. Before he could figure it out, the dragon twisted to retaliate. Chen quickly jumped off its back, releasing his sword in the process. As soon as Chen landed, the dragon's skin turned bright red. As expected, Chen muttered. You're called Fire Wing after all, so you can actually turn red. Activating his beast connection, Chen told the dragon, this is your final struggle. Suddenly, the power of Chen's Godzilla blood surged through his veins. His eyes turned crimson. Fiery marks spread across his face and his entire body ignited in flames. This is a new move I just learned from your Hellflame Blood Explosion, Chen said smugly. Seeing Chen mimic his skill, the dragon was furious. Roaring in rage, it charged at Chen with full force, intending to finish him in one strike. But after activating Beast Connection and this new form, Chen's speed and strength had increased dramatically. He dodged the dragon's attack with ease, sidestepping to the right. Now positioned perfectly, Chen saw the dragon's neck exposed before him. Without hesitation, Chen gripped his sword tightly and swung with full power. His flame sword sliced through the dragon's neck like a hot knife through butter. The dragon's severed head tumbled across the ground as a system notification appeared. To system notification. You have killed a level 5 dragon monster and gained 1,000 attribute points. With fire still burning in his eyes, Chen scoffed. Trash, you never stood a chance. Just then, Ziji's illusion appeared nearby. She approached the dragon's lifeless body and cheered, Brother Chen is amazing! The fire dragon is dead! Meanwhile, Chen's fiery form began to fade. Glancing down at his body, he muttered, with the strengthening effect from my 4,000 points of physical strength, only 1/10 of my chi and blood was burned, yet the power it unleashed was terrifying. This level of damage barely keeps pace with my recovery ability. Staring at the flickering flame in his palm, Chen declared, I'll call this form Blood Explosion Form 1. After naming this new technique, Chen went to check the dragon's dead body. Looking carefully, he realized that the dragon's scales, teeth, flesh, and even its lava-like blood were extraordinary materials. He looked at the dragon's sliced head and thought that this head alone would be worth at least 100 million to the government. However, there was just one issue. How would he explain to the government where he got this 5th-tier dragon head? If he said he killed it alone, that would expose that he was powerful enough to be at the 6th or even 7th tier, and Chen didn't want that. Chen then helped Zishi come down from the dragon and decided to keep the dragon's head for now, thinking it might be tasty. He exchanged 200 attribute points for storage space to store the dragon. Placing his hand above the dragon's head, he watched as it vanished. A system notification informed him that the dragon's head had been successfully stored. Next, Chen used 400 attribute points to strengthen his intuition, as he needed to be able to see between the lines. Another system notification appeared, telling him that he had successfully strengthened his intuition and obtained high-level intuition. Now the aura of monsters could not be hidden from him, and even inanimate objects could be detected. Chen then used 400 more attribute points to enhance the intimidation of his armor. A system notification confirmed that he had successfully strengthened his armor's intimidation. Just as he did so, he immediately felt a powerful pressure on his body. The ground beneath him cracked from the force, and suddenly, his entire body became engulfed in flames. Another system notification appeared, informing him that he had awakened the king's intimidation. Chen was surprised to find that he had unlocked this ability. He immediately checked the details of king's intimidation and discovered that it could cause a person to tremble in fear. Even the slightest eye contact could render them completely powerless. Excited to test his newfound power, Chen took a deep breath and calmed himself, making the flames surrounding him disappear. He thought this ability would be useful for clearing out weaker enemies. Determined to try out his new skill, Chen connected with his Godzilla, which resided in the deep sea near our country. At the same time, a long-distance fishing ship from our country was passing through the area. While the fishermen were casting their nets into the deep sea, they suddenly felt something heavy caught in their net. Overjoyed, they quickly pulled it up, expecting a great catch. However, to their surprise, there were very few fish in the net. Seeing this, the fishermen were confused, but one of them reassured the others, saying that as long as the fish were alive, they could still sell them. Suddenly, the watchman called out to everyone, pointing toward the sea. When they all looked, they saw a massive water wave forming in front of them. Suddenly, lightning started crackling around the massive wave. In the next second, the wave exploded with a huge blast, sending hundreds of fish shooting into the air like cannon fire. Seeing this, the fishermen were ecstatic. They had never seen so many fish in their lives. The one responsible for this phenomenon was none other than Godzilla, who was connected to Chen at that moment. After accomplishing this, Chen released the connection, and Godzilla returned to its cave deep under the sea. Chen was impressed by how King's intimidation had made the lizard's oppression even stronger. Nothing could move within its area of effect. While experimenting with this power, Chen even discovered a new technique. When Chen used his flames and electricity together, he realized he could fly. Without any delay, he activated this new skill. After all, humans have always yearned for the skies. By combining the power of electricity and fire, he could break free from gravity's confines. He soared into the air like a rocket and could even increase his speed at will. While flying through that dimension, he suddenly noticed something far away. It looked like a city. Chen's intuition told him that there were unexplored places in this world. Without hesitation, he headed toward the city, thinking he might gather information about a being so powerful that even the dragon ruling over this world was unaware of it. As he flew, a thought suddenly struck him. Firewing was merely a magic dragon imprisoned in this world, which meant there had to be a higher power keeping it captive. Determined to uncover the truth, he decided to investigate. The city Chen saw from the sky turned out to be the ruins of the Kingdom of Giants. He landed in the middle of the city and began exploring. While looking around, he came across a massive wall painting. The artwork depicted numerous dragons kneeling before a humanoid figure. Seeing this, Chen realized that a great dragon civilization once existed here. However, he couldn't understand what they were worshipping. Was it a dragon god or a true god? Before he could decipher the meaning, a massive door beside him suddenly opened on its own. Feeling an overwhelming sense of danger, Chen hesitated for a moment, but he knew there was no way to catch a tiger without entering its den. With lightning speed, he rushed through the door. Inside, he found a long hall lined with massive dragon statues. As he examined them, he realized that Firewing was likely the little brother of these dragons. But before he could explore further, a system notification suddenly appeared. The pollution in this area has strengthened. You are temporarily immune due to your strong physique, but in 3 hours your resistance will weaken and you will be affected. Seeing this notification, Chen was certain there was something truly unusual about this temple. The pollution had increased, which meant something other than him had also entered. And yet, even before revealing itself, this entity was capable of spreading such powerful corruption. This only made Chen more curious. He shouted into the temple, demanding that the hidden presence reveal itself. His voice echoed loudly through the hall. Suddenly, he sensed something approaching from above. He instinctively leaped back just as a brilliant light descended onto the ground before him. With a serious expression, Chen demanded, "Who are you?" From the blinding light, a humanoid creature emerged, faceless, with 4 arms and no back. In a chilling voice, it declared, "The Venerable One has awakened." A red line appeared on its faceless head, forming a single eye. As it gazed at Chen, the red line twisted into a mouth, revealing a sinister smile. Seeing this eerie 4-armed figure floating before him, Chen couldn't comprehend what he was facing. Then, without warning, the creature raised one of its hands toward him. Before Chen could react, it unleashed dark lightning of eternity at him. Shocked by the sudden attack, Chen quickly drew his longsword and stabbed it into the ground, creating a flame barrier around himself to block the incoming dark lightning. Seeing the power of the dark lightning, Chen wondered if the 4-armed creature he was fighting could be a 6th-tier being. But it didn't take him long to realize the truth. It had to be a 7th-tier demon because its power was slowly beginning to overwhelm him. The 4-armed creature was using only one of its hands to push Chen back. While attacking, the creature demanded that Chen worship him and surrender. As it spoke, it increased the intensity of the dark lightning. The sheer pressure caused the ground beneath Chen to crack. Hearing this and realizing it wanted him to kneel, Chen's anger flared. With a furious expression, he asked, "Do you want to die?" Now serious about the fight, Chen unleashed his crimson flames and entered his bloody explosion Type 1 state. As he released an immense amount of internal flame ki, the surrounding stone and ground were obliterated. With a deadly smile, Chen glared at the 4-armed demon with hollow, merciless eyes and declared, For daring to ask me to kneel, you're going to die. Seeing Chen's bloody explosion form, the four-armed creature responded by using its second hand. It activated a telekinetic ability, turning the scattered stones around them into countless sharp spears, all aimed directly at Chen. Mocking Chen, the creature laughed at his bloody explosion form Type 1, then unleashed the stone spears at full speed. However, after unlocking his transformation, Chen's speed had increased significantly. He moved with incredible agility, destroying many of the incoming stone spears mid-air, but they kept coming in an endless barrage, forcing Chen to continuously shatter them. Realizing he couldn't break free at this rate, Chen swung his sword at super speed, creating a powerful barrier to block the spears. Then, with lightning-fast reflexes, he leaped from the ground toward the four-armed creature. With his longsword, Chen sliced the creature in half, cutting it into two pieces. However, just as he landed back on the ground, something unexpected happened. The four-armed demon's body vanished into thin air before even hitting the ground. A moment later, it reappeared right behind Chen, pointing two fingers at the back of his head. Chen was shocked. He had just cut it down, so how was it still alive? Activating the dark lightning of eternity, the four-armed demon sneered, calling Chen a disgusting ant. Then, without hesitation, it unleashed its attack. A massive explosion erupted, completely shattering the temple walls. As the smoke and dust began to clear, the four-armed demon stood alone, believing itself victorious. But then, it saw something that shocked it beyond belief, something it hadn't expected at all. Even after taking a direct hit from dark lightning at close range, Chen was still standing completely unharmed, and now he was even angrier. The flames surrounding Chen grew even stronger as his anger intensified. With a fierce expression, he declared, "I'm going to end this." Seeing Chen still standing, the four-armed creature immediately backed away and began gathering dark energy. Noticing this, Chen smirked. This only infuriated the four-armed creature, and it decided to fight with all four of its hands. It gathered an immense amount of dark energy and slammed its hands together. Controlling the ground beneath them, it attempted to crush Chen between two massive stone pillars. However, with just one swing of his sword, Chen obliterated the stone pillars and then leaped toward the four-armed creature. With a single powerful strike, he sliced through both the creature and the stone pillars it had been controlling. But just like before, it was only an afterimage. The four-armed creature had used its super speed to dodge the attack. Little did it know, Chen was not going to fall for the same trick twice. Suddenly, a sword pierced through the creature's chest. It was none other than Chen, who had also used super speed to get behind the four-armed creature and stab it. Laughing, Chen looked at the creature and said, "This is bloody explosion form too." However, his laughter was short-lived. The four-armed creature suddenly grabbed Chen's hand. Chen was surprised to see that the four-armed creature hadn't died and had turned around. It called Chen arrogant and unleashed its dark lightning of eternity once again. A massive explosion erupted with Chen at its center. Within the thick smoke, Chen's sword flew through the air, signaling the impact of the blast. Then, a shadow emerged from the haze. It was Chen, walking out unscathed. He declared, "My weapon will only slow me down. I'll deal with you with my own two hands." The flames surrounding Chen's body had grown even stronger. Laughing, he charged at the four-armed creature once more. Seeing Chen approaching, the four-armed creature quickly formed a dark energy barrier to block his attack, but Chen's power was overwhelming. With a single punch, he shattered the barrier and sent the creature flying. It crashed into the ground with immense force, leaving a solid impact. Chen's attack was so powerful that, just from its impact, the ground beneath him exploded, destroying all the nearby walls. After being hit by Chen's punch, the forearms lost its momentum, went flying, and repeatedly crashed into the ground, unable to stop itself. Just as it regained control and came to a halt, it noticed that its face had cracked like a mirror. This enraged it, but Chen wasn't going to give it a chance to retaliate. He charged at the forearms with lightning speed and, in the blink of an eye, reached it and punched it in the face again, this time using his internal fire. He smashed the forearms into the ground so hard that the earth beneath them shattered. He didn't release his grip until the forearms stopped moving. However, just as Chen turned away, thinking it was over, the forearms suddenly flew into the sky again. It aimed at Chen with its fingers, using all 4 of its hands to unleash its entrap skill. Sensing the imminent attack, Chen immediately turned to defend himself, but before he could react, the ground beneath his feet cracked, causing him to lose his balance. Suddenly, aura chains emerged from the ground, wrapping tightly around his legs. Chen tried to break free, but more and more chains emerged from the ground, binding his entire body. He attempted to use his internal flame to melt them, but it was ineffective. A system notification informed him that this was a dragon sealing formation, capable of absorbing the energy of whatever it had sealed and using it to strengthen itself. Realizing that the more he struggled, the harder it would be to escape the forearms bind, Chen looked up and asked if this was how it had trapped those ancient dragons. Despite the restraints, Chen moved his hand using sheer strength and told the forearms that it was a pity the formation wasn't strong enough to seal him. As he spoke, he slowly shifted the chains, positioning himself to gather his internal flame within his body. As he gathered energy, he laughed and told the forearms that he was different from those foolish dragons. With that, Chen snapped the chains apart with his raw power. The moment he broke free, he unleashed all the internal flame he had accumulated and declared for the forearms to listen carefully. Fixing his gaze on his opponent, he introduced himself. "My name is Chen Chu." The forearms was stunned to see Chen break free. Fear crept into its expression as Chen locked eyes with it, causing it to instinctively back away. Seeing this, Chen began walking toward the forearms, his energy so intense that the ground beneath him slowly started to vaporize. Then, in an instant, he took another step and disappeared from sight, so fast that even the forearms couldn't track his movement. Before it could react, Chen reappeared above it, catching it completely off guard. With full power, he charged at the forearms, aiming for its head and giving it no time to respond. His punch sent it flying. Moving at blinding speed, Chen appeared at the spot where the forearms was headed and struck it again with even greater force, sending it hurtling in different directions. Chen pursued the forearms relentlessly, striking it repeatedly. He was so fast that the forearms couldn't even defend itself. With lightning speed, Chen delivered a devastating punch to its face, shattering it once more. He then followed up with another full power strike to its stomach, sending it crashing into the ground with tremendous force. The impact triggered a massive explosion. As the smoke slowly cleared, a shadow emerged from within. It was Chen, standing victorious. The forearms lay motionless on the ground, a gaping hole in its chest. Chen had torn out its heart with his bare hands. Smirking devilishly as he examined the heart, he declared that he wanted its power. Then, turning away, he prepared to return to his world. A system notification informed him that his crimson flame had ascended to glass crimson flame, his lightning had evolved into swift thunderstorm, and he had obtained a dragon-sealing talisman, capable of binding beings below the 6th tier. As he walked back, releasing his internal flames, his legs suddenly began to tremble. A system warning flashed, alerting him that he had overexerted himself and had been 99% polluted by an unknown contamination. Just as he was about to collapse, Cixi appeared, urgently warning him about the pollution. Realizing that his prolonged battle had worsened his condition, Chen knew he couldn't stay there any longer. Mustering the last of his strength, he activated his internal flame and lightning skill, propelling himself toward the dimensional door that Cixi had created. With the forearms gone, the world of dragons and giants began to collapse, crumbling into destruction. Despite his exhaustion, Chen somehow managed to enter the dimensional door, escaping just in time, and return to his original world. But just as he returned, he lost control of his speed and collapsed onto the ground. As soon as he passed through the dimensional door, Cixi immediately ran toward it. Chen was completely exhausted and could barely move. Cixi closed the dimensional door and informed him that it was sealed, but when she turned back, she saw Chen coughing up blood. Even in that condition, Chen was worried. He warned that once the door was closed, it would lose its connection to the other world, and no one could predict where it would open next. Chen patted her head and reassured her that he was fine, explaining that power always comes at a price. After his battle with the Four Arms, he had come to understand that blood explosion wasn't just an eruption of raw power, it required an incredibly strong body to withstand its effects. If an ordinary person attempted even type 1, their blood would instantly vaporize, leaving behind a withered corpse. If he wanted to break through to type 3, he would have to further enhance his physique. Lost in thought, Chen slowly stood up and told Zishi that since the teleportation door was now closed, they should rest. But Zishi remained silent, simply staring at him with deep concern. While at the ruins of the palace in the land of giants, the lifeless body of the Four Arms, whose head Chen had taken, lay motionless. Suddenly his fingers twitched. Despite the massive hole in his chest and the cracks covering his body, the Four Arms slowly began to move. A few seconds later, a red line appeared on his face and his eyes snapped open, as if he had risen from the dead. He looked at his condition, watching purple blood drip from his wounds. Seeing the blood on his hands and body, his rage exploded. He let out a deafening roar, and the sheer force of the shockwave shattered the ground around him. Back on Earth, a black-haired man in an army uniform reported over the radio. At 35 degrees north, 1,200 meters ahead, we've detected a group of 5th-tier polluted monsters, requesting artillery backup. Right before him, a massive crack had split open the ground. From its depths, hundreds of white humanoid creatures were beginning to emerge. All of this was unfolding somewhere in K-City. At the black-haired man's request, a massive artillery barrage was launched at the monsters. Hundreds of missiles struck the crack in the earth with pinpoint accuracy. As the attack subsided, the black-haired man turned to his two subordinates and said, "We've got 6 minutes until the next wave. Let's hope these monsters don't scatter." One of his subordinates reassured him, "Relax, sir, they're still consuming their dead. They haven't moved an inch." Hearing this, the black-haired man turned to his other subordinate, Mark, and asked, "What's their pollution percentage?" Mark checked the data and reported, 15.5%. "At this rate, we should be able to hold out for another 8 hours." The black-haired man smirked. "That's more than enough time to wrap this up." Excited, the first subordinate grinned. 7 5th-tier monster corpses? That's a fortune. Even if they're incomplete, they'll still sell for a hefty sum. Mark nodded in agreement. "We should invest that money into upgrading our firepower." With a serious expression, he added, "As long as at least a third of them remain, I'll be satisfied." Hearing this, the black-haired man chuckled, as the people of Z country say, "Count your blessings." Just as he spoke, another wave of missiles rained down, engulfing the monsters in flames. Watching them burn, he reminded his subordinates, "Without the base's support, any one of those monsters at full strength would be the end of us." A few minutes later, after the second strike had finished, the black-haired man turned to his team. "All right, time to get to work. Let's clean up these bodies." Excited, all 3 men walked toward the monsters. The black-haired man told his subordinates that these creatures should be enough to obtain 5 bottles of purifying energy. They would keep 3 and sell the rest. The subordinates were thrilled, knowing that on the black market a single bottle was worth 200 million. With that kind of money, they could live like kings for a while. However, as they neared the crack in the earth, they noticed a towering figure standing amidst the smoke. The dense haze had concealed it before, but now they could see it clearly. A colossal monster, 100 times bigger than the others, staring straight at them. In comparison, the 3 soldiers looked minuscule before its immense form. The black-haired man froze in terror and gasped, "What is that?" Before they could process what was happening, the giant monster started moving toward them. Suddenly, Mark's detection device began ringing frantically. Checking the readings, he shouted, "The pollution level is skyrocketing. It's already at 531% and still rising." The black-haired man was stunned. "That's impossible." He turned to ask Mark for an explanation, but before he could, the monster lashed out with its tentacles, impaling Mark on the spot. Horrified, the black-haired man trembled and yelled at his remaining subordinate, "Run!" Without hesitation, he took off at full speed. His other subordinate tried to follow, but the monster struck again, killing him instantly. The black-haired man sprinted for his life, but the giant monster gave chase. Then, out of nowhere, a red line appeared on the monster's blackened face, the same eerie mark that had been on the forearms that Chin fought. It was as if the creature had suddenly gained intelligence. Within seconds, it closed the distance and slaughtered the black-haired man. At that moment, another wave of missiles was launched at the monster. Meanwhile, at the Apocalypse base in M country, alarms blared as reports flooded in. An apocalyptic event has been confirmed, activating highest-level apocalypse defenses, initiating elimination of all threats for the survival of humanity. In response, the M country military deployed a nuclear missile. It ascended into space, then plummeted back toward Earth at full speed, striking the giant monster with an earth-shattering explosion. The surrounding land was obliterated in an instant. But when the smoke cleared, the monster was still standing. While chaos unfolded in M country and K City, a man named Lin lay sleeping in his room, completely unaware of the catastrophe threatening the world. After a few days of proper sleep, Chen finally woke up. He went to Shizi's room, knocked on her door, and told her it was time for breakfast. Shizi came out, rubbing her eyes, still sleepy. As she emerged, she asked Chen for a hug. Hearing her request, Chen sighed, hugged her, and asked, "What am I going to do with you?" But just as he embraced her, she fell asleep again in his arms. Before Chen could wake her up again, the doorbell suddenly rang. Standing outside was a pink-haired girl in a leather jacket with the words "Speedy Takeaways, Chasing Away Your Hunger" written on the back. The very waifu-like girl was Huang Fu Xian. She called out to Chen, telling him his food had arrived. Chen opened the door, still carrying the sleeping Gigi in his arms, and was surprised to see Xian in a leather jacket. But what shocked him even more was the motorcycle she was riding. Suspicious, he told Xian it was the first time he'd seen a woman delivering takeout at the crack of dawn on a $100,000 bike. In response, Xian looked at Zizi and said she'd also never seen someone living in an expensive mansion, ordering takeout every day, and having a child too. Her remark confirmed Chen's suspicions. His eyes turned red as he smiled and said, "Lady, you know me too well." Chen then unleashed his internal energy to intimidate Xian and show her not to mess with him. Upon sensing his aura, Xian dropped the food bag and began shaking. But it wasn't fear, she was just too excited to see Chen Chu, the first person from the new generation of evolved individuals in the flesh. Seeing her excited expression, Chen found her behavior strange and asked why she was there. Xian, even more thrilled by his serious tone, unzipped her jacket and declared that she was there to pursue him. Chen was stunned. He hadn't expected that response at all. Xian turned to leave, reaffirming her intention to pursue him. She walked to her bike, then looked back and told Chen to remember her name, Huangfu Xian, and that she lived nearby. As she roared off, she called out that she'd see him with his next order. Right after she left, the young master of the Li family, Li Ning, arrived to meet Chen. He shared some recent news and told him that without his help, N City wouldn't survive the apocalypse. Chen laughed and said Li Ning was exaggerating. After all, N City had a special investigation bureau, and if pollution ever spread here, they would act immediately. Hearing that, Li Ning argued that Chen couldn't be compared to the government. He wasn't part of it, and didn't have to be accountable to anyone. He told Chen that this was exactly why it was vitally important to know whose side he was on. Still not understanding the seriousness of the situation, Chen asked Li Ning what he meant. Seeing that Chen was still unaware, Li Ning explained that ever since news about him spread yesterday, most of the properties in the wilderness near the mountain had changed hands. Chen had become so famous that the value of the entire area had more than tripled. All the wealthy people in N City were now fighting to move there. Li Ning told Chen that while everyone claimed they wanted his help, what they truly wanted were his resources. In exchange, they were willing to offer connections, money, anything Chen desired, as long as he agreed to help them when the monsters came. When Chen heard about the resources, he began to take the matter more seriously. Li Ning continued, saying that they were all businessmen, and who could blame them? They wanted to invite Chen to a meal, which was the real reason he had come. Hearing about the invitation, Chen got an idea. He smiled and agreed, telling Li Ning he would attend. Excited, Li Ning told him to keep his word and turned to leave. saying he'd see Chen that afternoon at Lin Xiu's Supreme Hotel. Just before leaving, Li Ning remembered something and stopped. He asked Chen if he knew Huang Fuqian, saying he had just seen her. Chen replied no and told Li Ning that she had suddenly shown up and said she wanted to pursue him. Hearing that, Li Ning's expression turned serious. He warned Chen that she could be a bit overbearing. Ever since she was young, she'd always been determined to get whatever she wanted. He cautioned Chen to be careful because now that she liked him, Chen should know that Huang Futi was behind her, and he was the richest man in N City. A few hours later, news about the world's pollution began to be broadcast. It was reported that Z country had deployed its most advanced equipment and had temporarily reduced the pollution, helping to restore societal order. The next piece of news was about Y Village, which had been invaded by polluted monsters, resulting in the deaths of hundreds of people. In our country, a temple was polluted by the corpse of a woman who had been buried alive by the monks. This gave rise to a vengeful monster that killed 20 people. The most important news was that Z country had revealed it began preparing for an apocalypse 20 years ago. It had since created a perfect defense system and stockpiled resources, becoming the world's safest nation. Tensions were rising across the globe. Wealthy individuals from all over were flooding into Z country, and many had been turned away at its borders. A black market had even emerged around so-called calamity-avoiding contracts. Meanwhile, at Ningqing University, Qian Xian, the girl who had gone on a date with Chen a few days earlier, was in class practicing a language. A purple-haired girl sitting in front of her turned around and asked why, with the apocalypse looming, they were still spending so much energy on studying. She wondered aloud whether she should work for a multinational company after graduation or become a translator, but then admitted the situation was so bad none of that might matter anymore. "Who knows if we'll even be alive soon," she said. "Might as well find a powerful guy here and get married." Hearing that, Qian removed her headphones and started thinking about Chen. An awakened, five-star individual with extraordinary flame powers. He was a household name online, even more famous than some celebrities. The amount of discussion about him online could fill thousands of blogs. But with fame came scrutiny and criticism too. Noticing Qianjian lost in thought, the purple-haired girl grew curious. She teased Qianjian, asking what was going on between her and that extraordinary boyfriend of hers. Then, making a very inappropriate hand gesture, she asked whether the two of them had already slept together. Embarrassed, Qianjian blushed and asked what she was talking about. She thought to herself that Chen was powerful, talented, and handsome, so perfect that no one could find anything to criticize. Though he was her boyfriend in name at Ning University, in reality, Qianjian wasn't even sure if she truly had feelings for him. As she was deep in thought, her phone suddenly rang. It was a call from Chen. The purple-haired girl also looked at her phone. Qingqing, blushing, tried to hide her screen and left the classroom to answer Chen's call. The girl noticed it was from Chen and teasingly told her to go take it. Qingqing stepped outside and picked up the call. She asked Chen if he was looking for her. Chen, who was at the gym, asked if she had time to meet that afternoon. He had made a lunch reservation. Hearing that, Qingqing lit up with happiness and said she'd love to come. Meanwhile, at the Huang's villa, Xian's bike was parked outside. Inside, a brown-haired man sat waiting. He asked Xian if she had seen him. As she removed her helmet, Xian replied yes. This man was Huang Futai, N City's richest person and Xian's father. He asked how Chen was. Xian told him that Chen knew she was investigating him and that he could be very intimidating when focused. Recalling Chen's terrifying aura, she added that he was the kind of man capable of becoming a king. Hearing that, Futai laughed and said it seemed his early investment was right. Chen was indeed powerful. Xian agreed but warned her father that if he thought he could win Chen over with a few million or even tens of millions, that wasn't going to happen. Futai waved it off, saying that no matter how she framed it, Chen was still just a 20-something brat. He asked if she really believed that a young man like Chen could outsmart someone like him, with decades of business experience. Xian responded that the world had changed, and that money wasn't always the solution anymore. Sometimes, power was. Hearing that, Futai's expression darkened. He asked Xian if she actually liked Chen, even though she'd only met him once. Then he asked what exactly she had told him. Zian told her father that she wasn't chasing Chen for him or because she wanted anything from Chen. Blushing, she admitted she was pursuing him simply because she liked him. Seeing her like that, Futai looked stunned and asked if she was being serious. Zian replied, of course, and told him that Chen was the first man who had made her feel something in years. At that, her father grew furious. He told her that all the powerful families from N City and even from H and S City had their eyes on Chen. He knew exactly how those families manipulated people with money, women, and power. As long as someone has human emotions and desires something, they can be manipulated. Everyone just wants to bring Chen down, make him kneel, and force him to join their ranks. Futai told Zian that she was too naive to go up against them, but Zian remained confident. She said her aunt once told her that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Her father nodded in agreement, until a moment later when the meaning hit him. He looked at her and asked if she was planning to learn how to cook. That thought gave Futai pause. He knew his daughter was infamous for being a little crazy, and now she had been touched by a man to the point of wanting to change herself. Still, he was slightly reassured. She was pretty, and maybe she really did stand a chance with Chen. But Zian quickly dashed that hope. She told her father she had sworn off cooking ever since she nearly burned down their house several times, so that wasn't happening. Hearing that, her father grew curious and asked what she planned to do. Then, to his surprise, Zion turned around and showed him the Speedy Food Takeaways logo on the back of her jacket. She told him she was now delivering takeout exclusively to Chen, and only him, having used her father's name to start a food delivery company. Her father stared at her, completely bewildered. He couldn't believe that the Huang's money was being used to fund a takeout business. Proudly, Zian explained that no matter where Chen lived, whether it was that small place he rented before, the dockside warehouse, or even the villa, he always relied on delivery for his meals, even breakfast. So she found someone to access Chen's phone and install the delivery app. Now, every time he places an order, she'll be the first to know, and she'll personally deliver it to him. Listening to this ridiculous plan, her father nearly had a heart attack. Clutching his chest, he asked Zion what in the world she was doing. With complete confidence, Zion told him, Chen will be touched by my sincerity sooner or later.